Chapter 316. You, Gaochen stared at Xing Hui with fire in his eyes. How dare you? Humph. Xiang Jun snorted and said coldly, Dong Yang, you have to think this through. 2 immortal techniques and the friendship of our Purple Cloud Palace's future palace master is definitely not something that a chance to comprehend the fortune divine jade can compare to. You don't know how to grasp the great benefits that are right in front of you. Instead, you want to push it away. Haven't you heard of the old saying, if you don't take it, you'll be punished? I'm sorry. I came from an unorthodox background and haven't read much, so I've never heard of it. Xing Hui said indifferently. How dare you? Do you know what will happen to you if you offend me? Oh. What will happen to you? I am in charge of the Hidden Scriptures Pavilion. If anyone wants to comprehend celestial techniques, they have to go through me first. This is especially true for someone like you, who joined the Purple Cloud Palace halfway. The review is even stricter when you want to comprehend celestial techniques or control secret treasures. A small problem can cause you to miss out on your original opportunity to comprehend celestial techniques. Do you want to use the Fortune Jade to comprehend supreme celestial techniques, or do you want to miss out on the opportunity to cultivate the supreme celestial techniques of the Purple Cloud Palace in the future? Gaochen sneered when he saw that Xing Hui had angered Elder Xiang Jun. A puny prominent divine stage cultivator actually dared to go against their Purple Firmament Palace's never-ending stage Grand Elder. He truly didn't know how to write the word death. After offending the Grand Elder, no matter how talented you were, after being suppressed for a few decades or 100 years, you would still fade into the crowd. Xiang Hong, who was standing at the side, saw that things would come to a deadlock if this continued. He quickly stepped forward to mediate. Dong Yang, you want to comprehend the Fortune Divine Jade to obtain more immortal techniques. Elder Xiang Jun has already said that he's the elder in charge of the Sutra Depository. If Elder Xiang Jun is satisfied, you can cultivate any immortal technique you want in the future. Why give up what's near for what's far away? Isn't that right, Elder? A faint smile appeared on Xiang Jun's face. That's right. I've already given you the opportunity. Let's see if you can grasp it. Although he said that, he was already filled with disgust for Xing Hui. He was only waiting to obtain the right to comprehend the Fortune Divine Jade for Gaochen. As for whether he would bestow a few celestial techniques to Dong Yang after Gaochen enjoyed the right to comprehend the Fortune Divine Jade, it was up to him. Xing Hui ignored Xiang Jun and turned to Xiang Hong. Palace Master, if there's nothing else, I'll take my leave. Dong Yang, don't ruin your future because of your youthful vigor. You should consider the elder's suggestion when you go back. Xiang Hong really didn't know how to continue talking to Xing Hui. He was a member of Elder Xiang Jun's faction. Naturally, he had to prioritize the interests of his faction. Even though Xing Hui had a bright future ahead of him, and his potential surpassed Gaochen's, Gaochen was someone they had spent a lot of effort to nurture since young. He trusted him. On the other hand, no matter how talented Xing Hui was, it couldn't cover up the fact that he came from an unorthodox background. Why would he risk offending the Grand Elder to promote a talented young man? His boldness hadn't reached that level yet. I understand. Xing Hui said. He didn't even bow to Xiang Jun and the others as he turned and left. So what if the Purple Firmament Palace's never-ending realm Grand Elder? He wasn't going to stay on the Fortune mainland. So what if he offended him? Moreover, even if he wanted to survive on the Fortune mainland, he could still join the Great Sun Divine Palace if he couldn't enter the Purple Firmament Palace. Judging from the fact that the Great Sun Divine Palace's palace master had personally invited him, it was clear that the palace master had high hopes for his future. You don't know how to appreciate favors. When Xiang Jun saw Xing Hui turn and leave, the dissatisfaction in his heart was obvious. In the end, he came from an unorthodox background. It's reasonable that he doesn't know how to respect others. I don't think it's wise to accept someone like him into the Purple Firmament Palace. Otherwise, he will bring trouble to the Purple Firmament Palace sooner or later. Gaochen said with a gloomy expression. Xiang Hong couldn't help but sigh in his heart. If Tsing was still in the blue netherworld realm or had only cultivated a saint-grade battle physique, it would be Dong Yang's loss if the Purple Firmament Palace didn't accept him. But now, Dong Yang had actually cultivated a divine-grade battle physique. This was a rare talent that only appeared once in 1,000 years. If the other supreme sects didn't know that he was a member of the Purple Firmament Palace, they would have fought over him. If such a genius was pushed to the other supreme sects, the Purple Firmament Palace would be the one losing out. At this moment, Xiang Hong couldn't help but feel regret. He should have accepted Tsing Hui into the Purple Firmament Palace when he had broken through to the prominent divine stage and condensed a divine-grade battle physique 10 months ago. Once he had become a member of the Purple Firmament Palace, Xiang Hong had various methods to make him submit if he didn't obey the elder's orders. But now, it was too late to say anything. After leaving the Purple Firmament Palace's palace, Tsing Hui felt a little suffocated. 4 days ago, he had given the victory that was within his grasp to Gao Chen. However, when Gao Chen had spoken coldly in front of him, he was already dissatisfied. He didn't expect something like this to happen today. Gao Chen and the elder of the Purple Firmament Palace actually wanted him to give up the opportunity to comprehend the Fortune Divine Jade. Did they really think that he was the pride of the Purple Firmament Palace and that the whole world revolved around him? Moreover, after the commotion caused by Gao Chen and Xiang Jun, he was too embarrassed to ask Palace Master Xiang Hong for the right to participate in the private trade fair. I only hope that the Star Worship Palace Master of the Great Sun Divine Palace will be easier to talk to and get something that I'm satisfied with. Tsing Hui muttered to himself. Seeing that the sky had darkened, he didn't return to the Burning Sky sect. Instead, he turned around and went straight into the Great Sun Divine Palace. Soon, he arrived at the East Flame Palace. When he arrived at the East Flame Palace, a man who was also in the prominent divine stage immediately came out to welcome him. He cupped his hands at Tsing Hui and said, "Are you Brother Dong Yang? The elder is already waiting in the palace. We'll inform the palace master immediately. He'll be here soon. Brother Dong Yang, please come in first." "Thank you." Tsing Hui nodded and followed the man into the East Flame Palace. After walking around the palace for a while, they soon arrived at a guest hall. The arbitrator of the transformative stage who had secretly sent a message to Tsing Hui earlier saw Tsing Hui and strode over. He smiled and said, "Elder Dong Yang, you're finally here." "Oh, I haven't introduced myself. I'm Du Sen, the Supreme Elder of the Great Sun Divine Palace's Central Region Main Palace." "Greetings, Elder Du Senior." "Ha, Elder Dong Yang, you don't have to be so polite. Please take a seat." Du Sen laughed aloud and led Qing Su to a seat. An attendant quickly served up many refreshments and tea. Tsing Hui and Elder Du Sen sat for a while. Before they could talk in depth, a series of footsteps came from outside the palace. Then, the palace master of the Great Sun Divine Palace, Xing Ji, who was hosting the Creation Grand Banquet, strode into the palace. "Elder Dong Yang, sorry to keep you waiting." Seeing Tsing Hui, the palace master of the Great Sun Divine Palace, whose cultivation had reached the never-ending realm, cupped his hands politely to Tsing Hui. Just these small details were enough to show how much he valued Tsing Hui. "Palace Master Xing Ji. We invited Elder Dong Yang here this time to ask about your future development. After all, the Great Sun Divine Palace is extremely curious about Elder Dong Yang, who can condense the divine-grade Golden Crow battle body." Future development? Tsing Hui already understood what the Great Sun Divine Palace was implying. In addition, he wanted to make a deal with the Great Sun Divine Palace, so he immediately said, "Although I'm a Supreme Elder of the Burning Sky sect, I'm indebted to Palace Master Xiang Hong of the Purple Cloud Palace. He once gave me 2 supreme celestial arts, a treasure refining technique, and a secret treasure. Therefore, if nothing unexpected happens, I will choose to join the Purple Cloud Palace. 2 supreme celestial arts, a treasure refining technique, and a secret treasure." Xing Ji chuckled. Xing Ji chuckled and said, I remember that Elder Dong Yang received 2 supreme immortal skills, a treasure refining skill, and a secret treasure. At the same time, he also contributed a top cultivation method, a cultivation method that can cultivate the divine grade Gold Crow combat body. In addition, although Palace Master Xiang Hong of the Purple Cloud Palace wants you to join the Purple Cloud Palace, he has always been overcautious. At present, Elder Dong Yang should not have joined the Purple Cloud Palace. At least according to our secret investigation, Elder Dong Yang's name was not found in the disciple register of the Purple Cloud Palace. Indeed, the main reason is to borrow the Burning Sky sect's name to participate in the Good Fortune Gathering. I believe that the Great Sun Divine Palace also has sects that secretly support them, wanting to obtain more time to comprehend the Fortune Jade in the Good Fortune Gathering. Xing Hui admitted generously. Elder Dong Yang, you've misunderstood. We're not blaming Elder Dong Yang for this. We just feel that Elder Dong Yang has cultivated the divine grade Golden Crow battle body. If you want to cultivate in the Purple Cloud Palace, it'll be a waste of time. In terms of understanding of the Golden Crow divine beast, no one in the entire continent dares to say they're number 1. It just so happens that Elder Dong Yang hasn't joined the Purple Cloud Palace yet. Why don't you join the Great Sun Divine Palace? If Elder Dong Yang is willing, the Great Sun Divine Palace is willing to give Elder Dong Yang a real elder status. Elder status. Xing Hui's heart skipped a beat. The status of the elders of the 6 supreme sects was far superior to that of the supreme elders of some first-class sections. This could be guessed from Perfected Zihao's visit to the Burning Sky sect and the Burning Sky sect's attitude. If he joined the Great Sun Divine Palace, he could really become an elder of the Great Sun Divine Palace. The treatment he would receive was indeed incomparable to that of the Purple Cloud Palace. I need to think about this carefully. After all, the Purple Cloud Palace has done me a great favor. Although the 2 supreme deity skills of the Purple Cloud Palace were obtained by me by offering the Great Sun Golden Crow skill, I still owe them a debt of gratitude. Of course, we can understand, but please believe in the ability of the Great Sun Divine Palace. Joining the Great Sun Divine Palace is definitely better for your future than the Purple Cloud Palace. For your own future and for the hope of immortality in the future, even if you abandon the Purple Cloud Palace, no one can say why. What's more, Elder Dong Yang hasn't really joined the Purple Cloud Palace and isn't on the disciple list of the Purple Cloud Palace. Xing Hui nodded, but still didn't give a definite answer. Seeing this, Xing Ji couldn't help but strike while the iron was hot. I heard Elder Dong Yang mention the Great Sun Golden Crow skill just now. Is this the supreme cultivation skill that Elder Dong Yang has cultivated? Yes. Since Elder Dong Yang is willing to trade this supreme cultivation skill that can condense the Golden Crow Divine Body with the Purple Cloud Palace, I wonder if the Great Sun Divine Palace will have the opportunity to take a look. The Purple Cloud Palace will give us 2 supreme deity skills, 1 artifact refining skill, and 1 secret treasure. The Great Sun Divine Palace will give us 3 supreme deity skills, 1 artifact refining skill, and 1 secret treasure. What do you think, Elder Dong Yang? Xing Hui had mentioned the Great Sun Golden Crow skill time and time again, waiting for the Great Sun Divine Palace to make a bid. Now that the Star Worship Palace Master finally agreed, he was also in the mood. Logically speaking, if the Great Sun Divine Palace obtains the Great Sun Golden Crow skill, they might be able to perfect the Great Sun Golden Crow skill in the future. I can also see the future of my cultivation more clearly. This is not impossible. However, the reason why I was willing to contribute the Great Sun Golden Crow skill to the Purple Cloud Palace with 2 supreme deity skills and 1 secret treasure is because the Purple Cloud Palace has done me a favor. The Star Worship Palace Master was slightly startled when she heard Xing Hui's words. Then, she smiled. Of course, the favor can't be measured by ordinary items. However, the Great Sun Divine Palace is indeed very curious about this cultivation skill. How about you choose 4 supreme deity skills, 1 artifact refining skill, and 1 secret treasure? Elder Dong Yang, please fulfill my request. When Qing Su sensed the abnormality in Xingji's smile, he already understood that the palace master had probably seen through his intentions, so it was no longer appropriate for him to continue increasing the price. Since the palace master has taken a fancy to this inferior cultivation method of mine, I'll accept your offer. Chapter 317. Ha, Elder Dong Yang is indeed efficient. Du Sen, take my order and lead Elder Dong Yang to the Great Sun Divine Palace's scripture pavilion to choose 4 immortal arts, 1 artifact refining art, and 1 secret treasure. Xing Ji laughed and said. Yes. Du Sen was rather confused about what was going on, but when he saw that the palace master had already reached an agreement with Qing Su, all he had to do was follow her orders. He was also very curious about Xing Hui's cultivation art that allowed him to cultivate the Golden Crow divine body. Then, I will have to trouble the palace lord to prepare a jade talisman that can be inscribed with divine sense. Xing Hui said. No problem, you can go and choose the immortal arts, artifact refining art, and secret treasure that you are satisfied with. It won't be too late to inscribe the cultivation art after you have chosen them. Xing Ji seemed to be quite generous. Xing Hui was now in the Great Sun Divine Palace. He didn't think that a prominent divine stage cultivator could play any tricks in his territory. If he was tricked by Xing Hui in the Great Sun Divine Palace and escaped with many immortal arts, then as the palace lord, he could only accept it. I have already thought about the secret treasure. I beg the palace lord to give me a top-grade fire warding pearl. Xing Hui said. The fire warding pearl was a treasure that could resist most fire damage. The low-grade fire warding pearl's fire resistance was limited to the spirit chi as 1 and the azure darkness stage. The middle grade was for the prominent divine stage and the true essence stage. As for the top grade, it could even defend against the fire elemental attacks of transcendent and never-ending stage cultivators. Although it wasn't as effective as the Xian Yang bead from Tianqiong, it wasn't much weaker. Buying the Xian Yang bead required Tianqiong's contribution points, but Xing Hui couldn't do that. Since he couldn't buy the Xian Yang bead for now, he could only take advantage of this opportunity to compromise. A top-grade fire warding pearl. Alright, I'll agree to this. I'll give you a fire warding pearl. Thank you very much, Palace Lord. Xing Hui said with a smile. With this fire warding pearl, the Jin Wu religion's eternal blazing sun attacks would no longer be a threat to him. Elder Dong Yang, please. When Du Sen saw that Xing Hui and the palace lord had reached an agreement, he gestured with his hand and brought him into the Great Sun Divine Palace. The immortal arts that Star Sacrifice spoke of naturally referred to the numerous comparatively common ordinary immortal arts and supreme immortal arts. Ultimate immortal arts like the 10 suns incinerate the heavens could only be passed down orally at the headquarters. Under Du Sen's lead, the two of them made their way to the scripture pavilion very quickly. Along the way, Du Sen introduced them to Qing Su. Our great sun god palace has collected 152 immortal techniques. Among them, 13 are supreme immortal techniques, 29 are high-grade immortal techniques, and the rest are ordinary immortal techniques. The best immortal technique is the 3 purities sect signature immortal technique, 1 chi into 3 purities. The worst ones are techniques like spitting fire, swallowing blades, and so on. 1 chi into 3 pure ones. There was even such an immortal technique? Did the 3 pure ones sect teach this supreme immortal technique to outsiders? How is that possible? The 3 pure ones sect treasured this supreme immortal technique a lot. But later on, someone from our Great Sun Divine Palace actually comprehended it from the Fortune Jade. No matter how precious 1 chi into 3 pure ones sect is to them, they can't stop others from comprehending it themselves. Xing Hui nodded. The 3 pure ones sect had nothing to say if others comprehended it themselves. He had been curious about the profundity of 1 chi into 3 pure ones for a long time. Not only because this immortal technique was related to a great story in ancient Huaxia myths and legends, but also because of its astonishing power. At the entry level of this immortal technique, one could create 2 incarnations, but their strength would only be 10% of the originals. At the initial success level, the incarnation's battle strength would increase to 30% of the originals. Only at the completion level could one create 3 incarnations with the same strength as the original. Even the 10th level incarnation technique can't compare to the perfection level of 1 chi into 3 pure ones. Xing Hui muttered to himself. Elder Dong Yang, please. Thank you, Elder Du Senior. Maybe we will become members of the palace soon. Elder Dong Yang, you don't have to be so polite with me. Du Sen chuckled. After he got to the Hidden Scriptures Pavilion, he gave the palace lord's token to the Transcendent State Elder who was guarding the Hidden Scriptures Pavilion. He then stood in front of the Hidden Scriptures Pavilion and said, I will wait here. Elder Dong Yang, you can come out whenever you want. Elder Du Sen, please wait for a moment. I will come out as soon as possible. No hurry, no hurry. Du Sen said with a smile and looked quite friendly. A prominent divine state overlord who had cultivated the divine grade golden crow body would have a bright future as long as he could pass the examination and gain the trust of the Great Sun Divine Palace. Therefore, he didn't mind building a good relationship with this young man before he cultivated a grand divine power. After entering the Hidden Scriptures Pavilion of the Great Sun Divine Palace, Xing Hui started to read. It had to be said that because the Fortune mainland had been peaceful for a long time, the 6 supreme sects didn't have any large-scale wars. Normally, they would constantly infiltrate each other's forces. The lower echelons of the sects, and even the higher echelons, had reached the extent where they were in each other's midst. Under such circumstances, the various immortal arts they had collected were no exception. Among the 152 immortal arts in the Great Sun Divine Palace, 60% of them were similar to the Purple Firmament Palace's immortal arts. The remaining 20% were modified immortal arts. The degree of their profoundness wasn't bad, but there were obvious flaws. Only the remaining 2 levels of immortal arts could be considered the true essence of the Great Sun Divine Palace. Of course, this could also be related to the fact that the Great Sun Divine Palace deliberately hid their unique and powerful immortal arts. They purposely looked for the more common immortal arts in the Hidden Scriptures Pavilion. The 4 immortal arts had a wide range of choices. Xing Hui didn't need to be too careful. The first thing he chose was the 5 Qi fasting technique and the Wandering Spirit Control technique. The 5 Qi fasting technique was a special immortal art that could swallow the 5 elements to replenish one's energy, allowing one to not eat for months or even years. The grade of this immortal art wasn't high, and the difficulty of cultivating it was also extremely low. However, it could be considered a must-have immortal art for traveling. As for the Wandering Spirit Control technique, one could cultivate one's primordial spirit and travel freely through the void. How cool was that? Most importantly, this Wandering Spirit Control technique had a good tempering effect on one's mind. It was said that when the Wandering Spirit Control technique reached perfection, one could soar into the 9 heavens astral winds and borrow the Purple Firmament Lightning's power to temper one's primordial spirit. This would allow one's primordial spirit to transform from yin to yang, and from illusion to reality. At that time, as long as one's primordial spirit wasn't destroyed, the cultivator would be immortal. Even if one's physical body were to fall, one could seize another body and be reborn. Unfortunately, due to the difficulty of cultivating the Wandering Spirit Control technique, no one had managed to cultivate it to perfection. However, in terms of difficulty, even though the Wandering Spirit Control technique was difficult to cultivate, it was still inferior to Xing Hui's Yi Qi turning into 3 pure ones. The Yi Qi turning into 3 pure ones was one of the 3 most difficult immortal arts to cultivate among the 20 or so supreme immortal arts that countless cultivators on the Fortune mainland had tried to comprehend. The 3 pure ones sect's Boundless Dao's aptitude was mediocre, and he wasn't famous in the 3 pure ones sect. However, since he had started cultivating the Yi Qi turning into 3 pure ones 26 years ago, the 3 pure ones sect had spared no effort in nurturing him, pushing his cultivation to a higher level. More than 10 years ago, he had obtained the right to comprehend the Fortune Divine Jade in the Fortune Mainland Grand Assembly. He had lived up to everyone's expectations, and with the help of the Fortune Divine Jade, he had cultivated the Yi Qi turning into 3 pure ones to the small success stage, and was able to create a clone with half of his battle strength. Fasting technique, Wandering Spirit Control technique, Yi Qi turning into 3 pure ones, the fourth immortal art, Xing Hui had his eyes on the shrinking ground technique. This was an immortal art that allowed one to move swiftly on the ground. The speed was as fast as teleportation. Unfortunately, this immortal art had too many limitations, and it could only move on the ground. Xing Hui guessed that this was a movement technique that borrowed the power of the rotation of the stars. After leaving the ground, one couldn't use the power of the rotation of the stars, so naturally, it couldn't be used. As a cultivator's cultivation increases, the battlefield will shift to the void, so immortal arts like shrinking ground technique are useless. In the end, Xing Hui gave up on this immortal art, and chose the supreme immortal art, stellar transposition. It had to be said that although there were many immortal arts on the Fortune mainland, the types were too strange. For example, fog summoning, wind borrowing, flame spitting, blade swallowing, these immortal arts were of little value. There were also Qi Qing, sun exposure, moon summoning, and Midas touch, which left him speechless. Shaking his head, Xing Hui put away these immortal arts, and headed towards the treasure refining technique. Although the Great Sun Divine Palace mainly focused on awakening the Golden Crow physique, they didn't seem to refine treasures. There were only 30 treasure refining techniques in the scripture depository, which was a level lower than the 44 techniques in the Purple Cloud Palace. However, when he thought about how he managed to obtain a supreme immortal art like 1 Qi into 3 pure ones in the scripture depository of the Great Sun Divine Palace, he was satisfied. He had obtained the Wind Freezing Pearls treasure refining technique in the Purple Cloud Palace's scripture depository, and he didn't want to miss out on an opportunity in the Great Sun Divine Palace. After searching for a while, a treasure refining technique appeared in front of him. Tightening Band. The tightening band that Tang Xuanzang used to subdue the great sage, heaven's equal, Sun Wukong. Looking at this treasure, Xing Hui's eyes lit up. If he could really refine this treasure, if he encountered experts or demonic beasts that he needed to subdue in the future, he only needed to wear this tightening band, and they would immediately be obedient. Even if he imparted the incantation to others, they would also be able to control the cultivator that was bound by the tightening band. The tightening band didn't just bind a person's head, and the pain it brought wasn't just physical pain, but spiritual pain. Moreover, once the tightening band was put on, even if the cultivator had many tricks up their sleeves, even if their primordial spirit left their body, or changed their size, they wouldn't be able to break free from the tightening band. This point was vividly displayed by the great sage equaling heaven. This is it. Xing Hui took out the tightening band's treasure refining technique. Fasting technique, roaming spirit control technique, 1 Qi into 3 pure ones, stellar transposition, tightening band treasure refining technique, and a high-grade fire aversion pearl. It had to be said that the Great Sun Golden Crow incantation exchanged for more treasures from the Great Sun Divine Palace than the Purple Cloud Palace. No wonder the Purple Cloud Palace was the first force to obtain the Fortune Divine Jade, but in the end, they couldn't keep it. In the end, the Fortune Divine Jade was forced to be made public by the other 5 great sects, allowing everyone on the Fortune mainland to use it. In terms of buying people's hearts, the Purple Cloud Palace really couldn't compete with the Great Sun Divine Palace. At least, after this experience, Xing Hui's impression of the Great Sun Divine Palace had already surpassed the Purple Cloud Palace. Chapter 318. After choosing the immortal techniques and artifact refining techniques he needed, Xing Hui left the scripture pavilion. Dusun watched as the elder of the scripture pavilion recorded down the immortal arts and treasure forging techniques that Qing Su had chosen. He could not help but be rather surprised. Elder Dong Yang, I remember that you've only learnt magic arsenal and the reversal of yin and yang, right? Since you have awakened the Golden Crow bloodline and cultivated the divine grade Golden Crow battle body, why didn't you learn sun exposure and Qi Qing? What do sun exposure and Qi Qing have to do with the Golden Crow bloodline? Of course they are related. If the Golden Crow bloodline can be cultivated under the sun, the effect will be significant. Sometimes, one can even collect the essence of the sun from the sun in the sky. The essence of the sun is comparable to several months of cultivation and is more useful than ordinary fire attribute spirit crystals. As for sun exposure, it is the idea of increasing the sun's true power. It can make the sun in the sky shine brighter, and in this way, it can absorb more sun's power. If it can assist the great sun divine palace with some special secret techniques, it is possible to condense the essence of the sun into sun crystals under sun exposure. Sun crystals. Xing Hui was slightly startled. As his cultivation increased and he could cultivate on the core of the sun in the sky, Xing Hui no longer had any concept of sun essence and sun crystals. However, this did not mean that these resources were not precious. From the fact that the Jin Wu religion did not hesitate to use large amounts of Dao aura to buy sun crystals from him, it could be seen how precious these resources were. And with the help of the sun exposure immortal art and secret techniques, the cultivators of the Great Sun Divine Palace were actually able to condense great sun crystals with their own abilities. Such ability was truly inconceivable. Dusun seemed to understand something when he saw Qing Su's appearance. He said with some pity, "Actually, in my opinion, the greatest use of immortal techniques to us cultivators isn't to increase our battle prowess but to provide support. With immortal techniques, we can do many things that cultivation can't." Setting aside Qi Qing and sun exposure, things like riding on clouds, inertia, and size manipulation have endless uses. Hearing this, Xing Hui glanced at the sutra pavilion behind him. "It's a pity that I've already chosen a suitable immortal technique. I'm afraid I won't have a chance to enter the Sutra Pavilion in the near future." Dusun nodded and said, "I've seen the immortal arts you've chosen. The fasting art is better than the art of fasting, but the art of spiritual control, the three pure ones in one breath, and the stellar transposition are all supreme immortal arts that are extremely difficult to cultivate, especially the three pure ones in one breath. It's one of the three supreme immortal arts that are considered to be the most difficult to cultivate, along with the art of future reversal and the art of blooming flower. Predict the future. Flower blooming for a moment." Xing Hui was slightly stunned. This is the most powerful divine ability of the primeval sect and the netherworld sect. It can predict the future, and flower blooming is an extremely evil divine ability. It can manifest a seven-colored flower that can devour the cultivator's blood, essence, and psyche, and finally condense into a Dao fruit. Those who consume the Dao fruit can extend their lifespan and even increase their cultivation base. The reason why the other five supreme sects are not interested in the netherworld sect is because of this supreme immortal art. I can't believe there's such an evil immortal art. Xing Hui's horizons were broadened. Fortunately, this immortal art is extremely difficult to cultivate. The netherworld sect has been established for more than 2,000 years, and only 2 people have managed to cultivate this immortal art to great success. If this immortal art wasn't fully cultivated, its power would have been relatively ordinary. Otherwise, the world of cultivation would have suffered a great catastrophe long ago. Xing Hui nodded in agreement. It could devour the cultivator's blood, essence, and psyche and condense them into a Dao fruit that could extend one's lifespan and increase one's cultivation base. This was practically a fantasy version of the Dark North divine art. If this immortal art could be easily cultivated, the world would have been thrown into chaos long ago. Let me take a look at your artifact refining technique. Tight hoop. This artifact refining technique is indeed not bad. However, the wishful gold essence required to refine this artifact refining technique is very difficult to obtain. If a substitute is used, the effect will be greatly reduced, and there is even a possibility that someone will break free. You need to be mentally prepared. Dusun warned. I understand. Since you've chosen what you need, let's go see the Palace Lord. Seeing that Xing Hui had obtained 4 immortal arts and 1 artifact refining technique, Dusun led Xing Hui back to East Flame Palace. When they arrived at East Flame Palace, Xing Hui immediately handed over the Great Sun Golden Crow technique that he had prepared. The Palace Lord is indeed a trustworthy person. This is the Great Sun Golden Crow technique that I'm cultivating. Good, good, good. Xing Ji's eyes flashed with a trace of passion as he received the Great Sun Golden Crow technique immediately. He had said that he would let Xing Hui choose the immortal arts first and that there was no need to hurry about the technique. That was to give Xing Hui peace of mind. Faced with such a god-level technique that could cultivate the divine-grade Golden Crow battle body, no one would believe that he was not eager to take a look at it. After roughly flipping through the manual, Xing Ji immediately had a preliminary understanding of it. It really is worthy of being called a supreme technique that can condense the divine body. The killing techniques derived from this technique are not outstanding, but in cultivating vital energy, refining vital energy, and even the final step of condensing the divine body, it is indeed unique. Also, it contains the method of condensing the eternal blazing Sunday. I'm rather curious about it. If I have the time, I must study it carefully and see if I can use the vital energy cultivated from the Great Sun Divine Palace's sect-guarding technique to condense the eternal blazing Sunday. I wish the Palace Lord Xing Ji will get what he wishes for. Xing Hui said. This Great Sun Golden Crow technique is indeed a divine-grade technique. For immortal arts, a treasure-refining technique, and a high-grade fire aversion pearl in exchange for such a divine-grade technique, it's worth it. Xing Ji replied in a serious tone. When Qing Su heard that, he could understand the value of the Great Sun Golden Crow technique in the hands of the Great Sun Divine Palace, which specialized in the Golden Crow bloodline, and in the hands of the Purple Cloud Palace, which was well versed in all aspects, naturally couldn't be compared. Since the Divine Manual is authentic, the transaction is complete. I will take my leave first. My previous invitation has always been valid for Elder Dong Yang. Elder Dong Yang, why don't you consider it carefully? If Elder Dong Yang agrees to become an elder of the Great Sun Divine Palace, the entire Great Sun Divine Palace will welcome you with open arms. I will consider it carefully. After the creation pageant, I will give Palace Lord Xing Ji an answer. Hearing this, Xing Ji relaxed a lot. The creation pageant would end in half a month at most. With his temperament that had lived for thousands of years, he wouldn't be unable to wait for half a month. He immediately said, then I will wait for Elder Dong Yang's good news. Xing Hui nodded slightly and left the East Flame Palace. After Xing Hui left, Du Sun came in front of Xing Ji. That Dong Yang shouldn't be able to resist the temptation of our Great Sun Divine Palace. After all, he awakened the Golden Crow bloodline and also cultivated the divine-grade Golden Crow battle body. If he wants to have higher achievements in the future, he will have more hope in our Great Sun Divine Palace than in the Purple Cloud Palace. No one will go against their own future. However, when he really joins our Great Sun Divine Palace, Palace Lord won't really give him the position of an elder, right? He is only in the Vision Divine Realm and joined our Great Sun Divine Palace halfway. How about joining our Great Sun Divine Palace halfway? So what if he is in the Vision Divine Realm? It's just an elder position, everything will have to wait until he joins our Great Sun Divine Palace first. Once he joins our Great Sun Divine Palace, our Great Sun Divine Palace will have the initiative. At that time, we can just give him the title of elder. You have to know that the power of a principal elder and an elder with an empty title is completely different. Star Worship Palace Lord's words made Du Sun slightly dazed. However, he immediately understood the Palace Lord's plan and smiled. Palace Lord is right. No matter what, let's pull him into our Great Sun Divine Palace first. Xing Ji nodded with a smile. While Xing Ji and Du Sun were discussing Xing Hui had already arrived at the Burning Sky sect's encampment. After talking with Star Worship Palace Lord and going to the Scripture Pavilion to choose 4 supreme immortal techniques and a treasure refining technique, he had already missed the time for the private trade fair. Now, it was already late at night. Moreover, he didn't have the qualifications to enter the private trade fair. He could only withdraw his thoughts and return to his room to recharge his energy and wait for the next day's battle of the top 10. The sun rose and the moon set and the sun rose. Early the next morning, the Burning Sky Sex Group brought Xing Hui to the venue of the Fortune Grand Assembly. However, it was unknown whether it was because Wang Ke knew about the conflict between Xing Hui and the Purple Cloud Palace or because he was delayed by other matters, but this time, Wang Ke, who represented the Purple Cloud Palace, was not by Huang Xiaolong's side to explain the details of each of his opponents. This slight change fell into the Burning Sky sect leader Yan Xian's heart, and she couldn't help but feel a little uneasy. However, considering that Xing Hui was already in the top 10 and qualified to comprehend the Fortune Divine Jade, she quickly suppressed this trace of uneasiness. No matter what, their Burning Sky sect's goal had been achieved. They had shown enough face in the Fortune Grand Assembly and earned enough reputation. Swoosh! As the 6 Supreme Sect's representatives entered the arena, Du Sen, who had been in charge of judging, leaped into the air and landed in the center of the stage. Unknowingly, the Fortune Grand Assembly has reached its most intense moment. Similarly, everyone's attention is focused on this moment, and it's almost time to decide the strongest person in our Fortune Mainland's younger generation. Everyone's time is precious, so I won't waste any more words and will directly start the most intense competition. According to the previous rules, in order to prevent people from missing out on the qualifications to compete for the lower rankings, this time, the competition will start from the first place King's Throne. Now, let's welcome the first place contender to the stage. Just as Du Sen finished speaking, several people simultaneously leaped into the air and landed on the center stage. The 6 Supreme Sect's seed disciples were among them. Other than the 6 Supreme Sect seed disciples, there was also Ling Hu Yu and the White Tiger Sect's Holy Prince Bai Lu, whom Wang Ke had deemed as the biggest threat to him. As for the Fire Phoenix Cult's Deputy Sect Leader Yu Yan and Burning Sky Sect's Xing Hui, there were no movements for the time being. The first place will be decided first. Logically speaking, shouldn't the first place be decided at the last moment? Xing Hui looked at the various sect seed disciples entering the arena. With no one to explain for him, he could only take the initiative to ask the Burning Sky Sect Chief Rockheart. This is the Fortune Grand Assembly's rule, and at the same time, it's to prevent people from being eliminated. You must know that the 6 Supreme Sect's genius disciples are all proud and arrogant. Other than the top 3, they wouldn't put any other rankings in their eyes. Therefore, in order to compete for the top 3 rankings, the 6 Supreme Sect's disciples are bound to battle. If the 10th to 4th place is decided early, what if the 6 Supreme Sect seed disciples are unwilling to compete for the 4th to 6th place? Wouldn't that be awkward? In order to avoid this kind of situation, the Fortune Grand Assembly's top 3 has always been decided at the first moment. This way, after someone suppresses the crowd and defeats the 9 competitors, the remaining people can continue to compete for the 2nd and 3rd place positions. What if no one can suppress the crowd? Then the ranking will be based on the number of matches won. Rockheart explained. At the end, he smiled at Xing Hui and said, Elder Dong Yang, do you want to go up and test the difference in strength between yourself and the genius disciple who has the highest chance of obtaining the first place? This is an extremely rare opportunity. With this experience, the next time Elder Dong Yang participates in the Fortune Grand Assembly, you might be able to break the 6 Supreme Sect's monopoly on the top 6 rankings. When Xing Hui saw that the Fire Phoenix Cult's Deputy Sect Leader Yu Yan had gone up and he was the only one left, he immediately stood up and said, Test the strength of the first place. That's exactly what I was thinking. Chapter 319. Xing Hui leaped and stepped onto the stage. However, the gazes of everyone present did not linger on him. The only one that glanced at him was Gauchen of the Purple Cloud Palace. However, the gaze he used to look at Xing Hui wasn't serious, but gloomy with a trace of cruelty. Very well. Then, the competition for the number 1 position of this Fortune Conference will officially begin. Anyone who can win 9 matches will become the number 1 position of this year's Fortune Conference. Anyone who admits defeat after being challenged will automatically be considered a failure and will only have the qualifications to compete for the number 2 position. If they admit defeat twice, they will only have the qualifications to compete for the number 3 position. So on and so forth. I wonder who among the young elites will be first. Du Sen said. I'll do it. Nantian Do, one of the 3 most likely to compete for the number 1 position of the Fortune Conference, was the first to step onto the stage. His gaze swept across the crowd and landed on the Vice Sect Master of the Fire Phoenix Sect, Yu Yan. The first match will be between the 2 of us. do you choose to fight with me or admit defeat? Yu Yan looked at Nan Tian-do, who was slowly taking out his star pearl, and her face slightly changed. Shortly after, she unwillingly said, I admit defeat. Do you really think that will be like the previous fortune conference, where both sides will be injured and let you guys take advantage of us? Dao Wuya of the Three Clears sect coldly laughed. Hearing this, the faces of the few heavens prides from the great sects changed. The reason why they all went up to compete for the number 1 position was because they were hoping that Nan Tian-do, Dao Wuya, and Lu Jiuhua would fight each other and end up injured, allowing them to take advantage of the situation. After all, although the winner would be able to rest for a day, if their injuries were too severe, a day wouldn't be enough for them to recover to their peak condition. Ling Huyu, you want to fight to the death? You guys should know about my star pearl. It contains the power of a star. I can't control the weight of such a treasure. If I accidentally smash you guys to death, then don't blame me. After Yu Yan retreated, Nan Tian-do's gaze landed on Ling Huyu with killing intent in his eyes. Ling Huyu weighed her options and finally took a step back. I know that I can't take an all-out attack from the star pearl. I admit defeat. At least you know your place. Bai Lu from the White Tiger sect and Dong Yang from the Burning Sky sect, do I need to name them one by one? Why, don't they have any self-awareness? All you can think about is taking advantage of the situation. Why don't you take a look at yourself first? At first, Bai Lu was still considering whether he could withstand the power of the star pearl. However, after being provoked by Nan Tian-do, the young man's desire to fight was aroused. He immediately said angrily, I really want to see how powerful my white tiger killing skill is. Please enlighten me. Huh? Nan Tian-do looked at Bai Lu and his face darkened. He realized that he had gone too far and felt a bit of regret. However, in the blink of an eye, that regret disappeared. Bai Lu was at the true energy realm. Although he had awakened the White Tiger's bloodline and cultivated the White Tiger's chi when he was at the Earth Energy realm, he failed to condense a combat body and only managed to cultivate a spiritual combat body. Because the fortune gathering was approaching, he managed to cultivate a true energy realm with the help of many treasures. However, he still didn't think highly of him. On the contrary, Dong Yang from the Burning Sky sect, who had cultivated a divine combat body, gave him a feeling that he couldn't see through him. This was also the reason why he had provoked Bai Lu and Dong Yang. Seeing that Bai Lu was really going to fight him, Nan Tian-do did not back down. His eyes flashed with a murderous light. Bai Lu, is it? Come. I want to see if your white tiger killing skill can withstand an attack from my star pearl. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Come. Bai Lu stepped forward. Without needing Descendo to say anything, the rest of the people left the stage and returned to their respective mountains. They carefully watched the battle between Bai Lu and Nan Tian-do. The eyes of Dao Wuya from the Three Pristines Temple and Lu Jihua from the Great Sun Divine Palace were especially bright. The two of them and Nan Tian-do were the best candidates for the throne. The rest of the people, including the geniuses from the Heavenly Court, the Netherworld sect, and the Purple Cloud Palace, were not worthy of their attention. Perhaps their cultivation was similar to theirs, but their celestial skills and secret treasures were inferior to theirs. Now that they had the opportunity to witness the battle between Nan Tian-do and Bai Lu, who was not weak, they naturally did not want to miss any details. This time, the participants of the fortune pageant are much smarter. In the previous fortune pageant, there were 4 seeded contestants who directly fought at the beginning, causing both sides to suffer heavy losses. In the end, the first place actually fell into the hands of someone who originally had no hope of making it into the top 3. In the end, although the few of them also obtained good rankings, the first place was taken away by someone else, which was a lifelong humiliation for them. This time, Nan Tian-do, Dao Wuya, and Sacrificial Flame Lu have learned their lesson from the previous fortune pageant. It's a pity for the others. This time, the top 3 are really hopeless for them. Besides Xing Hui, the sect master of the Burning Sky sect, Rockheart, said helplessly. Originally, she was hoping that Xing Hui would encounter such a good thing and take advantage of the situation at the crucial moment. If the Burning Sky sect could occupy a place in the top 3, the influence it would bring would be far greater than the top 10. But now, it seemed, their hopes were slim. Xing Hui did not reply. Instead, he looked at the field. At this moment, the battle between Nantian Do and Bai Lu had already begun. Although Bai Lu had not cultivated the White Tiger battle body, he still cultivated the Heavenly Tiger battle body, which was at the peak of the spiritual grade. His battle strength was tyrannical. Even if the 7th grade divine weapon in his hand was not worthy of his identity as a true energy boundary expert, his battle strength was still extremely tyrannical. At least, the prominent divine stage experts like Yuan He and Qin Zhen, who Xing Hui had fought before, would not be his match even if they attacked together. But, compared to Nantian Do, he was still a little inferior. Nantian Do's divine ability was the Star Shift Dipper. It was proficient in borrowing strength to fight strength. His secret treasure, the Star Pearl, contained the power of a star. How powerful would the Star Pearl be when it fell? If Bai Lu was proficient in a defensive celestial technique, it would be easier. He might be able to use such a celestial technique to stall Nantian Do until he exhausted all the true energy in his body. Unfortunately, the White Tiger killing skill was a powerful secret technique that placed great emphasis on the cultivator's aura. It required the cultivator to kill to stop the killing. When faced with the tyrannical Star Pearl, he could not even unleash 60% of its power. The two of them collided in the void. Bai Lu spat out blood as he was sent flying by the Star Pearl. Before Bai Lu could unleash his blood essence to launch another attack, the Star Pearl had already smashed down again. One attack, and one attack after another. That was how Nantian Do relied on the Star Pearl's tyrannical power to continuously smash down. Bai Lu, who was not good at defense, speed, or fighting, was smashed until his internal organs were destroyed. If the White Tiger sect master had not admitted defeat on behalf of Bai Lu at the critical moment, the White Tiger sect's prodigy would have been smashed to death by the Star Pearl. This Star Pearl is too domineering. It doesn't matter what divine ability or technique you have, it'll be smashed into dust with just one attack. This is an unreasonable secret treasure. Rockheart was shocked when she saw Bai Lu being defeated. Even if she, the sect master of a first-rate sect, the Burning Sky sect, personally went up to fight Nantian Do, the Primordial sect's prodigy, she would not fare any better than Bai Lu. Although the Star Pearl consumed a lot of true energy every time it was used, the Burning Sky sect's burning destruction technique was useless against the power of a star. Moreover, Nantian Do had mastered the Star Shift Dipper, which was good at defense. It made up for his shortcomings. He had both offense and defense. This is a prodigy cultivated by a supreme sect. Compared to the prodigies of ordinary sects, he's much stronger. Even Bai Lu, a true energy realm cultivator, couldn't do anything to him. Elder Dong Yang, when the time comes, you'd better act according to your strength. It's not a big deal to lose the battle, but if you're not careful and get smashed to death by the Star Pearl, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. Elder Chen Shua, who was standing by the side, consoled him without any hope. I know what I'm doing, Xing Hui said in a deep voice. The Star Pearl, it was good stuff. If he could take the Star Orb with him to the Eastern Barren Territory, he would be able to smash a true energy realm warrior to death. Not even a transcendent state warrior would be able to withstand the power of the Star Orb head-on. It would be perfect for destroying cities and lakes. Unfortunately, the Star Pearl was precious. The 12 Star Pearls were the most precious treasures of the Primordial sect. If not for Nantian Do's talent and the Primordial sect's high hopes for him to shine at the Fortune Festival, he would not have been given such a precious treasure. Anyone who took the Star Pearl from Nantian Do would immediately become the Primordial sect's mortal enemy. The prodigy of the White Tiger sect is just so. Nantian Do sneered when he saw Bai Lu spitting out blood and being saved by the sect master of the White Tiger sect. At this moment, Du Sen's voice sounded. Do you want to continue the challenge, or do you want to rest for a day and recover your energy before fighting with Lord Dongyang of the Burning Sky sect? Originally, using the star beads several times had indeed consumed a lot of Nantian Do's Qi. He had already intended to rest and fight again tomorrow, but Du Sen did not lower his voice at all, and his voice spread throughout the battlefield. Thinking back to how he had just reprimanded Bai Lu and Dong Yang for not knowing their own limits, if he retreated at this time out of caution, wouldn't it prove that he was afraid of Burning Sky Sect's Dong Yang? That would be slapping his own face. Therefore, he paused for a moment and said loudly, "Why do I need to rest? If I need to rest for a day against a prominent Divine Realm cultivator, wouldn't I be a laughingstock?" Then, he turned to the Burning Sky sect and said with a forceful look, "Burning Sky sect's Dong Yang? The number 1 position isn't something a prominent Divine Realm cultivator like you can get. Do you want to come down and fight?" Compared to the ridicule he had directed at the two of them earlier, he could be said to be much more polite. Clearly, he had realized his own problem, so he was unwilling to provoke Qing Su with his words. Otherwise, Qing Su would end up like Bai Lu and step down from the stage to fight him to the death once more for the sake of face, exposing his methods for no reason. Unfortunately, Xing Hui wanted to become the number 1 person in the creation banquet, so Nantian Do's words did not have any effect. He stood up and jumped toward the platform in the middle of the mountain under the shocked gazes of Yan Xian, Qin Shua, and the others. "I want to see how the number 1 person in the creation banquet is like." Chapter 320. Dong Yang, you, Rockheart was stunned. Sigh, he's still young and can't take any provocation. Qin Shua sighed. He thought that Xing Hui had been humiliated by Nantian Do and couldn't take it lying down. He wanted to fight Nantian Do even if he had to get injured. Brother Nantian Do has shot himself in the foot. He can only blame himself for being too arrogant. Lu Jihua, the genius of the Great Sun Divine Palace, gloated as he watched Nantian Do face another challenge. This brat is lucky. If he's crippled by Nantian Do, he won't just give up on all the battles, right? When that time comes, I'm afraid I won't have the chance to kill him while he's in the arena. In the direction of the Purple Cloud Palace, Gao-chen's expression was gloomy as he watched Xing Hui enter the arena. Ever since he, Gao-chen, became a rare prodigy of the Purple Firmament Palace, everything he did had been smooth sailing. Let alone a mere prominent divine genius guest elder, even the elders who were at the true energy realm like him and the great elders who wielded great authority in the Purple Firmament Palace all tried to befriend him in hopes that he would be put in an important position when he became the young palace master of the Purple Firmament Palace in the future. He had never thought that Qing Su would humiliate him so viciously while everything was going smoothly. He had asked this brat for the right to comprehend the Fortune Jade, and he dared not give it to him. This was the biggest humiliation he had suffered in the past few years. You have guts. You actually dare to come down and fight me? Could it be that you think you're stronger than Bai Lu? After all, you're only at the Vision Saint stage, while Bai Lu is a true energy stage expert. Bai Lu can rely on his dense true energy to barely contend against my Star Pearl, but you? What do you rely on to resist my Star Pearl? Your divine grade Golden Crow battle body. Let's not talk about the power of the Golden Crow battle body. If I don't fight you head on, how long can your divine grade Golden Crow battle body last? Nantian Do looked at Xing Hui with a strange look in his eyes. He wanted to use words to force Xing Hui to surrender. Won't you know once you give it a try? You are a true energy realm expert, and you have a precious treasure like the star bead. You have also cultivated a supreme celestial art like the star shift. Although I don't have much confidence in defeating you, I still don't want to miss the opportunity to fight with you. After all, I am still young. If the next good fortune pageant can be held within 20 years, I will still have the opportunity to participate in the next good fortune pageant. After I understand the strength of the contenders for the first position, I can confirm my specific strength and determine the ranking of the next good fortune pageant. Xing Hui's words carried a hint of weakness. He had already admitted that he was inferior to Nantian Do. Hearing this, Nantian-do snorted coldly. I'm just afraid that you won't be able to withstand my Star Pearl's attack and die on the spot. You won't have another chance to participate in the Creation Grand Gathering. If that's the case, then I can only blame my bad luck. However, I feel that with the Golden Crow body, it won't be a problem for me to block 1 or 2 attacks from your Excellency Southern Sky Dipper. If I feel that the Golden Crow body is about to collapse after a few rounds of attacks, I will immediately admit defeat to ensure my own safety. When Nantian-do saw how Ching-su had already considered his options and was completely prepared to admit defeat, yet he still insisted on fighting him stubbornly, Nantian-do snorted angrily, "Since you want to embarrass yourself before so many fellow cultivators, I'll fulfill your wish." At this moment, Dusun saw that the conversation between the two had come to an end. He opened his mouth and said, "Are the two of you ready?" "I am ready," Sing Hui said. "Where is your weapon?" "Without a weapon, you can't withstand a single attack from my star bead," Nantian-do said coldly. "I plan to test the Golden Crow divine body against the star bead before making a decision. If the Golden Crow divine body can't even withstand a single attack from the star bead without a weapon, then it proves that the gap between us is too big. At that time, it doesn't matter if I use a weapon or not. Since you want to see it, I will fulfill your wish." A cold light flashed across Nantian-do's eyes. He then nodded to Dusun, indicating that he was ready. Seeing this, Dusun immediately flew into the void and ordered, "The battle begins." Seeing that Dusun had announced the start of the battle, Nantian-do activated his true yuan and slowly took out the top secret treasure in his hand. He said coldly, "Since you want to see the gap between yourself and a cultivator like me, who is destined to win the throne of the Creation Grand Gathering, I will fulfill your wish, rumble." Before Nantian-do could finish his words, a terrifying force suddenly rose into the sky. It was as if a dazzling sun had jumped out from the horizon in an instant, bursting forth with unprecedented radiance. The boundless radiance was so dazzling that everyone could barely open their eyes at this moment. They could only vaguely hear a low shout of 2 words coming from within the extremely vast and dazzling sunlight. "Sun glory." Then, an even more violent force erupted and swept across. Just as this violent and destructive force was about to spread completely in the form of a sun that could destroy the world, enveloping the entire mountain peak and even the venue of the Creation Grand Gathering, the 4 Transcendent Realm cultivators reacted at the same time. "Oh no! Don't let this force spread. What a terrifying power, what kind of move is this?" The 4 Transcendent Realm cultivators acted at the same time, forcibly restraining the explosive force that was about to spread out at the center of the stage. Even so, that vast and violent aura still rushed out of the stage, hitting the faces of the spectators, making them feel as if they were caught in a raging inferno. If it weren't for the fact that a third of the Fortune Mainland's experts were gathered at this Creation Grand Gathering, including many Transcendent Realm and Never-Ending Realm cultivators, which neutralized and suppressed the explosive force at the critical moment, there would have been hundreds and thousands of true Qi and Spirit Refining Realm cultivators dying from serious injuries even with the 4 Transcendent Realm cultivators. Could this be the innate ability of the Golden Crow physique? In the direction of the Great Sun Divine Palace, Palace Master Xing Ji, who had obtained the Great Sun Golden Crow Technique secret treasure, his eyes lit up. Although the 4 Transcendent Realm cultivators were unable to fully suppress the explosive force contained in Xing Hui's sword strike because they did not react in time, it was enough to prove how powerful Xing Hui's sword strike was. It had definitely reached the level of a Transcendent Realm cultivator's full-strength attack. A prominent Divine Realm cultivator was actually able to erupt with power that was close to a Transcendent Realm cultivator's full-strength attack. Then, when he reached the true element boundary, or even the Transcendent Realm, how strong would his battle strength be? Not only Xing Ji, but the other Supreme Sect's cultivators' faces also changed drastically as they looked at the gradually dissipating flames in the center of the stage. Their expressions were extremely solemn. Among these people, the Grand Elder of the Grand Beginning Sect and the Purple Firmament Palace's Xiang Hong were the most shocked. What kind of secret technique does this brat possess? How could a single sword strike have such power? Is it a supreme immortal technique stolen from our purple firmament palace? Xiang Hong's face darkened. Our purple firmament palace doesn't have such a sword technique, Xiang Jun replied helplessly. Gao Chen opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but in the end, he could only say, such a powerful secret technique must have serious after effects. Otherwise, everyone would be cultivating the secret technique instead of breaking through to the next realm. That's right, that's right. Such a secret technique must have endless after effects. I think this brat is young and impetuous and can't take any provocation. That's why he didn't hesitate to use such a mutually destructive secret technique in order to win. Xiang Hong nodded slightly. If a prominent divine realm cultivator was able to use such a powerful secret technique without any after effects, wouldn't he be invincible in the world? Xiang Hong wasn't the only one who thought so. The other people from the great sects who were shocked also came to their senses. They felt that they were making a fuss over nothing and focused on the center of the stage, wanting to see what Xing Hui looked like. As the blazing flames were suppressed by the joint efforts of the four transcendent realm experts led by Du Sen, the scene above was revealed. At this time, the originally extremely sturdy arena had been burned into glass by the terrifying heat of the sword of the glorious sun. Some places had even been completely melted. In the center of the stage, Nantian Do, who was not dead but had completely lost his ability to resist, appeared in front of everyone. Opposite him was Xing Hui, who looked pale and had obviously exhausted all of his genuine qi. The consequences are indeed serious. It seems that he has exhausted all of his genuine qi. Like I said, such a powerful secret technique can't have no after effects. Since he has cultivated a divine-grade battle body, he must have condensed divine-grade genuine qi. It's not easy to recover his divine-grade genuine qi. Even with the help of elixirs, it will take 3 to 5 days. Although the winner can apply for a day's rest, it's not enough for him to recover his genuine qi. If he loses 3 or 4 rounds in a row, even if he wins this round, I'm afraid he won't be able to enter the top 3. Seeing Xing Hui's weak appearance, many of the experts who were watching suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. On the stage, Xing Hui suppressed the feeling of emptiness in his body, took a deep breath, and said coldly to Nantian Do, although I don't know much about myself, I still have the power to attack if I give up everything. Now, it seems that my attack has had an effect. When these words fell into the ears of the crowd, they confirmed their previous guess. A warrior can be killed but not humiliated. Nantian Do really has a loose tongue. Which of those who can stand out and enter the top 10 in the Creation Festival don't have some trump cards? No matter how strong he is, he shouldn't have bullied others and forced them to fight to the death. Speaking of which, Dong Yang is quite scheming. He said that he wanted to test the power of the Star Pearl, which made Nantian Do mistakenly think that he would focus on defense at the beginning. That's why Nantian Do took out the Star Pearl at the beginning of the battle. Who would have thought that Dong Yang would use all his strength to perform a secret technique that can greatly damage his vitality? I have to say, Nantian Do lost unjustly. After hearing what you said, I also have the same feeling. This secret technique only has the power for one attack. After that, one's genuine qi will be exhausted. If Nantian Do had been prepared and retreated the moment Dong Yang attacked, or used the substitution celestial technique to avoid the fatal attack, wouldn't Dong Yang's life be in Nantian Do's hands when his genuine qi was exhausted? Because of Dong Yang's words, Nantian Do made the wrong judgment and was hit by Dong Yang's attack. Nantian Do lost unjustly. Nantian Do was careless. It's a pity that he missed the opportunity to become number 1. The voices of the elders rang out again. They had all kinds of opinions and words, and they all felt sorry for Nantian Do who missed the opportunity to become number 1. Chapter 321. On the stage, Xing Hui ignored the discussions of the elders. He turned to Du Sen and said, "Judge, please announce the result of this battle." Du Sen was stunned for a moment, but he reacted quickly. He looked at Xing Hui with a complicated expression. It was rare to see an unorthodox cultivator like Tsing-Hui defeat one of the 6 supreme sects-seated contestants. However, when he thought about the fact that Tsing-Hui would soon be recruited by the Great Sun Divine Palace as an elder, a smile appeared on his face. He nodded at Tsing-Hui and announced loudly, "The winner of this battle is Dong Yang of the Burning Sky sect. Your Excellency Dong Yang has accumulated 1 victory. Do you want to continue the battle, or, I choose to rest for a day and continue the battle tomorrow?" Tsing-Hui said without hesitation. "Good." Du Sen nodded and said, "Then, Your Excellency Dong Yang, please step down. Let's invite the next contestant to the stage." Tsing-Hui smiled bitterly and cupped his fists at Du Sen. "I don't have any true qi in my body right now. Elder, please send me on my way." Du Sen was stunned for a moment, but he smiled and nodded. "It seems like you're really going all out with this attack. That's how this secret technique works. Once I make a move, all the Jinqi in my body will be used up. It's not up to me. It's amazing. The person who created this secret technique must be a transcendent realm cultivator. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to use all his strength in one go." Du Sen said as he circulated his true qi and wrapped it around Tsing-Hui. He then sent Tsing-Hui towards the Burning Sky sect. When everyone saw this scene, they lowered their guard against Tsing-Hui. He has really used up all his true qi. He can't even fly with his sword. If he can't kill his target with this attack, wouldn't he be like a fish on a chopping board? Strictly speaking, such a secret technique is still somewhat useless. It's not that useless. If he is facing an enemy 1 or 2 times stronger than him, would he use this attack to fight to the death, or would he be killed? He knows what to choose without thinking. That's true. The discussion once again reverberated through the crowd. Dao Wuya, Lu Jianhua, and the other cultivators who had the ambition to take the number 1 seat all let out a sigh of relief. This kind of secret technique, which was full of drawbacks, could play a significant role under special circumstances, but once the opponent was prepared, it was not worth mentioning. Tsing-Hui was escorted by Du Sen to the Burning Sky sect's camp. The Burning Sky sect's people looked at Tsing-Hui's weak appearance and couldn't help but reveal a worried expression. "Elder Dong Yang, you don't have the strength to compete for the throne. Why do you have to offend the primeval sect?" "That's right. If you have the confidence to compete for first place, our Burning Sky sect will do everything in our power to give you sufficient support. However, is there a need to go to this extent for the sake of mere personal feelings? I have my own considerations," Tsing-Hui said. He didn't want to say anything more. He also didn't mind the noise around him. He sat down cross-legged and started to recover his real qi. It wasn't that he didn't want to return to the Burning Sky sect's courtyard, but he didn't want to miss this opportunity to understand the strength of the other supreme cultivators. The other supreme cultivators looked at each other, especially Dao Wuya and Lu Jianhua. With Nantian Dou's example as an example, the two of them naturally didn't want to repeat the same mistake. "Brother Wuya, there are still 3 people left who can be challenged. They are all supreme cultivators of our supreme sections. I will take care of the Purple Cloud Palace's Gaochen, and you will take care of the Netherworld sects and Heavenly Court's contestants. What do you think? Although you fought one more battle, I am willing to challenge Dong Yang first when the fortune pageant resumes tomorrow." Lu Jianhua's voice echoed in Dao Wuya's ears. "Humph. The Burning Sky sect's Dong Yang real qi has been completely used up. Even if they can recover their real qi in a day, how much can they recover? Why don't I take care of the Purple Cloud Palace's Gaochen, and you take care of the Netherworld sects and Heavenly Court's supreme cultivators? Since Brother Wuya thinks that Dong Yang and Gaochen are easier to deal with, I will do as Brother Wuya wishes. Do you want to go first, or should I? The guest will follow the host's decision. Then let me experience the skills of the Netherworld sect's Holy Sun." As Lu Jianhua spoke, he leaped up and landed in the middle of the platform. He looked in the direction of the Netherworld sect. "Netherworld Holy Sun, it has been many years since we last met. Can we have a chat?" The Netherworld Holy Sun glanced at Lu Jianhua. After a moment of silence, he said, I have no intention of competing for the throne. I admit defeat. Hearing the Netherworld Holy Sun admit defeat, the crowd was in an uproar. Even Dao Wuya felt like he had been cheated. Thank you, Netherworld Holy Sun. In the future, Lu Jianhua will definitely pay you a visit to thank you. As Lu Jianhua spoke, he turned to the Heavenly Court's Supreme Cultivator. The Heavenly Court's Supreme Cultivator did not exchange pleasantries. He leaped up and landed in the middle of the platform. I have heard of the Great Sun Divine Palace's 10-sun burning sky immortal technique for a long time. Today, I would like to see it for myself. Since you wish to see it, I will naturally fulfill your wish. 10-sun burning sky. Xing Hui raised his head and looked at the middle of the platform. Xing Hui was very curious about the supreme immortal technique of the Great Sun Divine Palace. Even though this immortal technique was not known as the most difficult immortal technique to cultivate like the three purities with the one qi, reverse reading of the future, and instant blooming of flowers, it was definitely one of the most powerful and most domineering supreme immortal techniques. With this immortal technique and the high-grade fire aversion pearl, Lu Shiguo was actually the strongest competitor for the throne of first place in Qingsu. The battle between the two on the platform quickly erupted. Both of them were true energy realm cultivators. Even though the Heavenly Court's prodigies didn't possess any particularly powerful immortal arts, they still possessed considerable battle prowess with the aid of other immortal arts. They were actually able to hold their own against sacrificial fire Lu. Seeing that ordinary methods could not take down the Heavenly Court's supreme cultivator, Lu Jianhua did not waste any more time. He immediately summoned a secret treasure in his hand. This secret treasure rose into the sky and turned into a blazing sun. Endless radiance and vast heat immediately poured down. In terms of heat and temperature alone, it was not much inferior to Xing Hui's glorious sun sword. 10-sun burning sky. Rockheart looked at Lu Jianhua's technique and sighed with emotion. This is the Great Sun Divine Palace's most powerful immortal technique. Xing Hui frowned as he looked at the blazing sun in the sky. He did not see the use of this immortal technique. This blazing power might be enough to deal with blue underworld realm or even prominent divine realm cultivators, but it might not be effective against true energy realm cultivators. Rockheart looked at Qing Su from one side as if he could see what he was thinking. The key is how many days he's cultivated it. Lu Xian's sacrificial flame seemed to have reached 4 days, but even if 4 suns hover in the air, the scorching power is still nothing to true energy realm experts. The true power of the 10 suns incineration immortal technique is that it can use the power of the 10 suns to create a field similar to a domain. In this field, cultivators with the Golden Crow bloodline who are born with the power of the sun are basically invincible. Not only can they constantly obtain power from the 10 suns, but even if their battle physique is dispersed, they can still quickly reform it. They're basically indestructible. A domain-like existence. Xing Hui's expression changed slightly. Domain. That was a technique that only true divine realm cultivators could use. 10-sun burning sky could actually create a domain. Inconceivable. However, that is the truth. The founder of the Great Sun Divine Palace, who had pushed it from a first-rate sect to a supreme sect, had cultivated this supreme immortal art to the realm of 7 suns in the sky. Even though this supreme immortal art had yet to reach perfection, the founder of the Great Sun Divine Palace was still able to fight against 10 never-ending realm experts by himself. In the end, the founder of the Great Sun Divine Palace had to rely on other methods to break through his 10 suns domain. Through that battle, the founder of the Great Sun Divine Palace became the #1 expert in the entire Fortune mainland. In the following years, the founder of the Great Sun Divine Palace grew stronger and stronger, eventually becoming one of the 6 supreme sects of the Fortune mainland. Rockheart looked at Lu Jianhua, who had already summoned 3 suns, and an indescribable light flickered in his eyes. It is rumored that cultivators with the Golden Crow bloodline would be able to gain a shocking amount of power in the 10-sun burning sky domain. However, the closer their bloodline is to the Great Sun Golden Crow, the greater the effect. Take Lu Jianhua for example. If he had cultivated the Golden Crow physique, then under the 4 suns in the sky domain, there would be very few transformative realm cultivators who could be his opponent. A sun domain that can continuously gain power. Xinghui looked at Lu Jianhua's technique with a burning gaze. If he could obtain this supreme immortal art, his combat strength would definitely increase by a lot. On the platform, just as Rockhart had said, Lu Jianhua's vital essence seemed to be limitless with the help of the sun domain formed by the 3 suns in the sky. He continued to use powerful killing moves without worrying about energy consumption. Blazing airwaves swept in all directions. If it weren't for the 4 transformative realm cultivators of the Great Sun Divine Palace trying their best to suppress the spread of power, the void within a radius of dozens of kilometers would have turned into a sea of fire. Even so, the surrounding temperature was still rising rapidly. An ordinary person would have died of dehydration after staying in this area for half an hour. Lu Jianhua has cultivated a saint-grade battle body, and his vital essence has fallen to spirit grade. Logically speaking, his battle body shouldn't have manifested for more than half an hour, but now, it's more than half an hour. An hour is almost up. The 3 suns domain is constantly absorbing the blazing energy that escapes from his battles, turning it into energy that is once again absorbed by the sacrificial flames, causing his true essence consumption to only be a third of that of a normal battle. Xinghui's eyes sparkled as he stared at the 2 people fighting. This immortal art was very effective for him. If he could really get his hands on this immortal art and cultivate it, he would be able to solve the problem of the Golden Crow divine body's excessive vital essence consumption. In the future, it wouldn't be difficult for him to roam the eastern wilderness with his prominent divine cultivation. Chapter 322. The day's battles came to an end. Among the top 10 participants, apart from Xinghui, Lu Jianhua, and Dao Wuya, everyone else had lost once, losing the right to compete for first place. Of course, this qualification was not absolute. If Xinghui, Lu Jianhua, and Dao Wuya also lost once due to various reasons, then it would depend on who could accumulate 8 victories. Even if they did not have 8 victories, they would still be able to take first place. That night, no one from the Purple Cloud Palace came to invite Xinghui. Even Wang Ke was nowhere to be found. Now, no matter how slow the people from the Burning Sky clan were, they could guess that there was a rift between Xinghui and the Purple Cloud Palace. They could not help but feel worried. However, Xinghui ignored them. When night fell, he went straight to the East Flame Palace inside the Great Sun Divine Palace. When he met a patrolling guard on the way, he directly told the guard why he wanted to see Elder Du Senator, as Qing Su was an expert with a god-tier battle body. He ranked in the top 10 of this year's fortune banquet. The patrolling guards dared not neglect him at all. After receiving permission from Elder Du Sen, they brought him to Elder Du Sen's residence very soon. Elder Dong Yang, may I ask what brings you here so late at night? Seeing Xinghui, Du Sen greeted him warmly. Although Xinghui's attack that had defeated Nantian-do had a fatal flaw, it was still very practical. The Great Sun Divine Palace was also somewhat envious of this attack. Elder Du Sen, may I ask if you can contact the Starlight Palace Lord? I have a deal to discuss with the Star Worship Palace Master. I wonder if I can meet the Star Worship Palace Master. You want to see the Palace Lord? Du Sen was slightly taken aback. Thinking of how much importance the Starlight Palace Lord placed on Xinghui, he nodded slightly. I'll contact the Palace Lord for you. Thank you, Elder Du Senior. Du Sen nodded and quickly sent a message. Soon, he received a reply. He turned to Xinghui and said, the Palace Lord will come to the East Flame Palace in an hour. Elder Dong Yang, please wait for a moment. Of course. I'm already satisfied that the Palace Lord can take time out of his busy schedule to meet with me. Let alone an hour, even if he has to wait for an entire night, I won't complain. Elder Dong Yang's words are too serious. Elder is the most distinguished guest of our Great Sun Divine Palace. If the Palace Lord wasn't delayed by something, he would have rushed over immediately. Why would he make Elder Dong Yang wait for so long? Xinghui smiled and didn't say anything else. In less than an hour, the palace lord of the Star Worship Palace of the Great Sun Divine Palace had already stepped into the Eastern Flame Hall. When he saw Qing Su, he clasped his hands with a smile. He did not put on the airs of a peak Eternal Realm expert at all. Elder Dong Yang, you've truly demonstrated your might at the fortune gathering today. The genius of the primeval sect, Nantian Do, who the primeval sect had placed all their hopes on, was actually defeated by Elder Dong Yang in a single stroke. It's simply shocking. Elder Dong Yang, did you not see the reactions of the elders of the various sects and organizations back then? They were all dumbfounded. Even I, the palace lord of the Great Sun Divine Palace, was frightened by Elder Dong Yang's strike. You're flattering me, palace lord. What's so special about an attack that requires all of one's true qi? Isn't any transcendent realm overlord able to do that? Although a transcendent state overlord can unleash a powerful attack with all of his true qi, it's still not enough to unleash the true essence of a prominent divine state cultivator like Mr. Dong Yang. Xing Hui smiled and didn't continue on this topic. The power of the Sword of the Glorious Sun was indeed great, but as Xing Hui comprehended the Sword of the Glorious Sun, he faintly added some element fission techniques into it, making it even more terrifying than Sword Master Bai Heng's Sword of the Glorious Sun. Moreover, he was fully confident that when he cultivated this Sword of the Glorious Sun to perfection and completely transformed it into a fission sword, its true power would definitely surpass Sword Master Bai Heng's Sword of the Glorious Sun. However, he naturally couldn't say these words to others right now. I've come to find Palace Lord of the Starlight Palace because I have a deal to make with you. Palace Lord, please consider it. Oh. What deal? I'd like to hear the details. Xing Hui slightly lowered his voice and said in a deep voice, I want to use 4 days of time to comprehend the Fortune Divine Jade to exchange for the 10 days of burning the heavens cultivation method with Palace Lord of the Starlight Palace. Ha! Palace Lord of the Starlight Palace, who had a smile on her face, suddenly became serious. Elder Dong Yang has taken a fancy to our Great Sun Divine Palace's supreme immortal art, 10 days of burning the heavens? This celestial art can form a domain-like existence. Cultivators of the Golden Crow bloodline already have an extremely powerful combat strength in it. If a cultivator like me who has cultivated the Golden Crow combat body can step into it, you can imagine how great the increase will be. Therefore, this celestial art is the key to whether I can go against the flow of Jin Yuan and fight above my level. Its importance to me is self-evident. I naturally hope to obtain the true inheritance of this supreme celestial art from the Divine Palace. 10 days of burning the heavens with the Golden Crow battle body. The Starlight Palace Master's face revealed a trace of interest as well. He really wanted to know exactly how formidable the Golden Crow battle body was in the 10 Suns Incinerate the World. However, wanting to know was one thing, and he wouldn't underestimate the sect guarding immortal art at all. We are also very curious about how powerful Elder Dong Yang's Golden Crow battle body and 10 days of burning the heavens will be when used together. However, 10 days of burning the heavens is our Great Sun Divine Palace's supreme immortal art. In order to comprehend this supreme immortal art, our ancestors of the Great Sun Divine Palace poured in a lot of effort. In the future, countless cultivators who had awakened the Golden Crow bloodline even wanted to bypass our Great Sun Divine Palace to comprehend this supreme immortal art with the help of the Fortune Divine Jade, but without exception, all of them ended in failure. Therefore, if Elder Dong Yang wants to obtain this supreme immortal art, I'm afraid, Xing Hui looked at Starlight. At this time yesterday, he was still relying on the Great Sun Golden Crow battle body to raise the price, but now, the status of the two was reversed. Xing Hui smiled bitterly and said, What request does Palace Lord of the Starlight Palace have for you to teach this supreme immortal art to me? Xing Ji shook his head, This is the sect-protecting immortal technique of our Great Sun Divine Palace, even the disciples of our Great Sun Divine Palace can't teach it if they haven't made great contributions. Moreover, Elder Dong Yang hasn't agreed to join our Great Sun Divine Palace, so, I can accept your invitation to join the Great Sun Divine Palace after the Fortune Grand Banquet and assume the position of an elder. This is still not enough. Even if you become an elder of our great sun divine palace and are willing to give up 4 days to comprehend the fortune divine jade, it is still not enough for you to be taught the supreme immortal art, 10 days of burning the heavens. This is the foundation of our great sun divine palace's strength. Starlight shook his head. Xing Hui knew that Starlight was trying to raise the price. Of course, his intentions were unclear, and he could not gain Starlight's complete trust. Then, how about I add another condition? If Great Sun Divine Palace's Heaven's Pride, Lu Jihua, wants to compete for the throne, his biggest opponent has changed from Nan Tian Do and Dao Wuya to Dao Wuya alone. If Starlight Palace Lord is willing to teach me the supreme immortal art, 10 days of burning the heavens, I can guarantee that I will defeat Dao Wuya and eliminate Lu Jihua's biggest opponent. What did you say? Starlight, who was still trying to raise the price, heard Xing Hui say that he could defeat Dao Wuya and eliminate Lu Jihua's biggest opponent for the throne. His eyes lit up. Are you serious? You can defeat Dao Wuya. You can defeat Dao Wuya. That's right. As long as Dao Wuya is defeated, Lu Jihua only needs to be careful, and his chances of winning will be above 80 to 90%. Even the Heaven's Pride from the Heavenly Court and the Netherworld sect are no exception. When that time comes, Lu Jihua will have secured the throne of number 1 and will have the chance to study the Fortune Jade for a whole month. With this month, his 10 days of burning the heavens and 4 days of burning the heavens will most likely continue to climb. In the end, he will be able to reach the 5 days, 6 days, and even the 7 days of burning the heavens. Starlight was tempted when he heard this. If Lu Jihua could really get the chance to study the Fortune Jade for a month, he might not be able to reach the 7 days of burning the heavens, but the chances of him reaching the 6 days of burning the heavens would be more than 60%. As long as he could increase his cultivation level by 1 or 2 more levels, he might be able to understand the key to the 7 days of burning the heavens. How can you guarantee that you can defeat Dao Wuya and eliminate the biggest threat for Lu Jihua? You have to know that Dao Wuya is a true energy realm elite. Furthermore, you have used up a lot of your qi in today's battle. It will take more than a day or 2 to recover. Even if you can recover your qi in a day, Dao Wuya will not be easily hit by your attack. How can you guarantee that you can defeat him in such a situation? Palace Master Starlight must have gone back to study the Great Sun Divine Palace yesterday, right? Then you should know that the 6th level of the Divine Palace contains the method to create a unique treasure. Unique treasure. Starlight was taken aback. Then, a look of surprise appeared on his face. The eternal blazing sun. It is the eternal blazing sun. I have cultivated a divine grade battle body, and I was lucky enough to cultivate 2 eternal blazing suns while I was breaking through. These 2 eternal blazing suns were condensed from the foundation of my divine grade battle body, and their power is incomparable to ordinary treasures. If they were to explode at the same time, it would not be difficult to severely injure Dao Wuya. After all, Dao Wuya's power is based on his divine grade battle body. His 2 clones and 1 true body are connected to form a battle formation, and his combat power is above ordinary true energy realm elites. However, my eternal blazing sun is an area of effect attack that does not differentiate between targets, and it completely counters his divine grade battle body. When Starfall heard this, he immediately understood. Moreover, he had studied the Great Sun Golden Crow technique the night before, so he had a good understanding of the eternal blazing Sunday. He nodded. The eternal blazing sun condensed from a divine grade battle body is much more powerful than ordinary eternal blazing suns. If the 2 eternal blazing suns were to explode at the same time, in addition to your own combat power, Dao Wuya would definitely lose. Then, Palace Master Starlight, you mean, change it. The 2 of us can sign a contract. If you can defeat Dao Wuya tomorrow, the Great Sun Divine Palace's divine grade battle body will be yours. Chapter 323. Deal. The 2 of us can sign a contract. If you can defeat Dao Wuya tomorrow, the Great Sun Divine Palace's supreme immortal technique, 10 suns burning the heavens, will be yours. Xing Ji agreed without hesitation. Alright, but I hope to obtain the 10 suns burning the heavens immortal technique today. Palace Master Xing Ji, please understand my impatience. Xing Hui cupped his hands and said. Xing Ji looked at Xing Hui, his eyes flashing. I'll give you the 10 suns burning the heavens immortal technique today. Please allow it, Palace Master. Xing Ji sized up Xing Hui for a while, then nodded. Alright, I can give you the 10 suns burning the heavens immortal technique first. However, in the contract later, whether it's you joining our Great Sun Divine Palace, contributing 4 days of the Fortune Jade, or defeating Dao Wuya, all of these must be written in the contract. If you fail to complete any of these, then don't blame me for offending you. Alright. Xing Hui said. Actually, the reason why I hope to obtain the 10 suns burning the heavens immortal technique first is to comprehend it as soon as possible. After I have a foundation, I can take advantage of the time left to comprehend the Fortune Jade to see if I can cultivate it. If I'm presumptuous, I hope Palace Master will forgive me. Seeing that Xing Hui had agreed, a smile appeared on Xing Ji's solemn face. I can understand. I'll inform the Supreme Elder of the Scripture Depository and ask him to personally deliver the 10 suns burning the heavens immortal technique. Du Sen, go prepare the contract. Yes. Du Sen responded and quickly retreated. This matter was indeed not suitable for too many people to know. The Supreme Elder of the Scripture Depository with the never-ending realm came very quickly. In less than half an hour, he had already stepped into the East Flame Palace. Du Sen had already prepared the contract. After Xing Hui signed his name on the contract, Xing Ji carefully handed the jade talisman with the 10 suns burning the heavens immortal technique to Xing Hui. Elder Dong Yang, this time, you're the real Elder Dong Yang of our Great Sun Divine Palace. Although you'll have to wait until the end of the fortune banquet, I believe you'll keep your word. This is the 10 suns burning the heavens immortal technique. Elder Dong Yang, keep it well. I also can't wait to see what kind of earth-shattering power this technique can unleash when combined with your golden crow body. I'm also looking forward to the 10 suns immortal technique. Xing Hui put away the jade talisman with a smile. Time is of the essence. I urgently need to go back and comprehend the 10 suns burning the heavens immortal technique. I won't stay here for long. Then, as if he had thought of something, he added, by the way, for some special reason, I've offended Supreme Elder Xiang Hong of the Purple Cloud Palace. As a result, the Purple Cloud Palace's deacons, who were specially assigned to surround me and introduce me to the details of the fortune banquet, were all dismissed by the Purple Cloud Palace. As a result, there are many details that I can't find out. I wonder if Palace Master Xing Ji can send someone to follow me and explain to me the things I need to pay attention to during the fortune banquet. Xing Ji, Du Sen, and Elder Ji Guang, who delivered the 10 suns burning the heavens immortal technique, looked at each other and were all satisfied with Xing Hui's decision. Since Elder Dong Yang has requested it, we'll naturally agree. In a while, we'll send someone to follow Elder Dong Yang's instructions. Then I'll have to trouble Palace Master Xing Ji and the 2 elders. Xing Hui cupped his hands and took his leave. This Elder Dong Yang is an interesting person. He's very tactful. He knows that we might be worried, so he actually took the initiative to invite us to send someone to monitor him. Du Sen understood the whole story and couldn't help but laugh as he watched Xing Hui leave. Xing Ji nodded slightly. It's easy to deal with smart people. However, I hope that he can continue to be so smart. Otherwise, even if he tries to break the contract by returning to the Purple Cloud Palace's embrace, with this agreement, I dare to kill my way to the Purple Cloud Palace and ask them to hand him over. I don't believe that the Purple Cloud Palace has the guts to go to war with the Great Sun Divine Palace for him alone. This is the Great Sun Divine Palace. So what if the Purple Cloud Palace is in the Great Sun Divine Palace's territory? If that boy dares to act rashly, we'll make him beg for death. Ji Guang said with a faint smile. Du Sen and Xing Ji nodded. The reason why they dared to hand over the 10 suns burning heaven immortal technique to Xing Hui so decisively was because they were in the Great Sun Divine Palace. If a puny prominent divine realm expert was allowed to cheat the Great Sun Divine Palace's supreme immortal technique and leave, then their Great Sun Divine Palace wouldn't be able to survive in the Fortune mainland. I've finally gotten it. Xing Hui looked at the jade talisman in his hand and couldn't wait to immerse his consciousness into comprehending the supreme immortal technique. The night passed quickly. Relying on the recovery ability of the Sixth Order, Xing Hui's depleted true qi had completely recovered. However, relying on the mystery of the true qi transformation technique, he still managed to recover around 30% of his true qi. This number was also in line with everyone's estimation of his true qi recovery speed. Back when Qing Su was comprehending the Sword of the Glorious Sun and the method of condensing true qi into virtual qi, he had already sensed that the great achievement of the Sword of the Glorious Sun could lead to great achievement of the method of condensing true qi into virtual qi, and great achievement of the method of condensing true qi into virtual qi would also feed back into the Sword of the Glorious Sun, allowing it to reach great achievement as well. In reality, Qing Su's guess was not wrong. In less than 10 days after his battle with Ling Shi, his true qi transformation technique had reached the major completion stage, and his control over his true qi had reached a whole new realm. Although he didn't know how big the difference was between the true qi transformation technique and the transformative realm expert's control over his true qi, it wasn't difficult to use the true qi transformation technique to conceal his true condition and hide it from the transformative realm and endless realm experts who couldn't personally investigate. As expected of a supreme celestial art. Although 10 suns incinerate the heavens isn't as difficult to cultivate as the 3 pure ones with 1 qi, reverse future telling, and instant blooming flower, it'll take a few years for me to reach the beginner level of the 10 suns incinerate celestial arts. If I really want to cultivate this supreme celestial art, I'll have to rely on the Fortune Jade. Xing Hui slowly put down the supreme immortal technique. Originally, he had planned to wait until the Fortune Divine Jade was activated and directly absorb all the Tao energy within the Fortune Divine Jade, raising his cultivation by 9 chaos grades in one go, but now, he had to change his mind. At the very least, he had to cultivate the 10 Suns Burning Heaven Immortal technique while the Fortune Divine Jade was activated. Elder Dong Yang, have you risen? When Xing Hui stored the 10 Suns Burning Heaven Immortal technique into his personal storage, Sect Master Heartcliff's voice immediately sounded from outside the courtyard. When Xing Hui walked out of the courtyard, he saw Heartcliff already waiting for him with a strange expression on her face. Accompanying her was a vision sage woman dressed in the Great Sun Divine Palace's robes. Sect Master Heartcliff. Xing Hui nodded at Heartcliff, then looked at the young woman whose true age was estimated to be over 100 years old. When she saw Xing Hui look over, the woman hurriedly walked up and bowed slightly to Xing Hui. Du Xiu of the Great Sun Divine Palace greets Elder Dong Yang. Du Xiu. Xing Hui blinked. Du Sen that's my ancestor. Xing Hui nodded slightly. All right, counting the time, the Fortune Festival is about to begin. In order to avoid missing the most exciting moments, we should hurry over. Yes, Elder Dong Yang, please. Du Xiu gestured with her hand. Heartcliff followed closely behind, but Chen Shua and the other true energy boundary elders did not follow. Elder Dong Yang, what are you? Heartcliff took advantage of Du Xiu leading the way and asked with a strange expression. Hee. The Purple Cloud Palace is too big for me to climb up to, so I can only find another way. Xing Hui said. In truth, Xing Hui had his own considerations for letting the Great Sun Divine Palace send people over. He had switched sides to the Great Sun Divine Palace to let everyone know his position. When the Fortune Festival ended and he left with the Fortune Divine Jade, the impact on the Burning Heaven sect would be minimized. It could also be considered to avoid harming the innocent. As for the Purple Cloud Palace's attitude, they had already fallen out, so he naturally did not care. This, Heartcliff could only sigh when he heard Xing Hui's words. He did not know what to say. The Burning Heaven sect was a first-rate sect that relied on the Purple Cloud Palace to survive, so it was not their place to interfere in this matter. Just do as usual. Anyone can see that the Burning Heaven sect is just a springboard. Even if the Great Sun Divine Palace and the Purple Cloud Palace really fight because of me in the future, it won't bring any trouble to the Burning Heaven sect. Sing Hui said to Heartcliff. I understand. Rockheart nodded with a helpless expression on his face. This was the tragedy of a weak sect. Even though the Burning Heaven sect's strength on the surface was not inferior to any of the 10 sacred sects of the Eastern Wilderness. As Tsing Hui, Du Xiu, Heartcliff, and the others arrived at their mountain peak, they naturally attracted everyone's attention, especially Xiang Hong, Gao Chen, and the others from the Purple Cloud Palace. Their eyes were filled with murderous intent, and even Sage Zi Hao and the other elders who did not know what was going on frowned. Only Xiang Jun had a trace of regret on his face, but when he saw Grand Elder Xiang Hong, who was filled with murderous intent, he did not say anything in the end. He was only the palace master of the Central Earth branch of the Purple Cloud Palace, not the palace master of the main palace. His status was slightly lower than Grand Elder Xiang Hong's. Since Grand Elder Xiang Hong had already taken over this matter, whatever the final outcome was, it had nothing to do with him. However, it was a pity for such a genius. The scene of Tsing Hui and the people from the Great Sun Divine Palace walking together caused waves of discussion in the crowd. However, this was the territory of the Great Sun Divine Palace after all, and this matter involved 2 supreme sections. Although the crowd was curious, they did not make a big fuss. Moreover, with the arrival of Elder Du Sen, the Starry Worship Palace Master, and the others, the creation pageant resumed, and the crowd focused their attention on the creation pageant. After a day of rest, I believe that all the geniuses have recharged their energy and recovered their true power. Then, let the creation pageant continue. I wonder which genius will be the first to challenge today. As the arbitrator, Du Sen stood in the center of the platform and said loudly. As soon as he finished speaking, Tsing Hui jumped down first and landed in the center of the platform under the incredulous gazes of the crowd. He looked directly at the 3 Pure sect and said, Dong Yang of the Burning Heaven sect would like to challenge Brother Wu Ya of the 3 Pure sect. Chapter 324. Dong Yang from the Burning Sky sect is challenging Dao Wuya from the 3 Pristine sect. Is he crazy? Dong Yang hasn't even fully recovered his chi yet and he dares to challenge Dao Wuya, who has the highest chance of becoming number 1. Does he really think that he can look down on the geniuses of the supreme sects just because he defeated Nantian Do from the Taisher sect with his strange sword technique? He has no respect for anyone. Everyone is already on guard against that sword technique of his. It won't be so easy for him to plot against us again. Soon, he will understand the difference between him and the heavens prides of the supreme sections. The crowd immediately fell into an uproar when they saw Qing Su step onto the platform. Discussions constantly rang out. Even Rockheart's eyes widened. She couldn't come back to her senses for a long time. After a long while, she finally said in disappointment, that's fine, that's fine. Losing to a peak genius like Dao Wuya is also fine. After all, he doesn't have any hope of making it into the top 3. He'll be defeated sooner or later. Although holding on a little longer will allow our Burning Sky sect to gain more fame, it won't be too meaningful. At this moment, the prodigy of the 3 Purities sect, Dao Wuya, who was being challenged, slowly stood up as well. He stared at Qing Su in the center of the platform as his eyes shone with cold light. You want to challenge me? Brother Wuya, please. Tsing Hui gestured with his hand. This action clearly expressed his attitude. Good, very good. Let me see what kind of tricks you have up your sleeves. How dare you challenge the authority of the 3 Purities sect? Saying that, Dao Wuya was about to fly up. An unending realm grand elder beside him hurriedly reminded him, Wuya, be careful. Since Dong Yang dares to challenge you first, there must be a reason. Don't be like Nan Tian Do, who failed miserably and lost the throne of the fortune pageant for nothing. Dao Wuya paused, and his expression became more serious. Elder, don't worry. When I go down, I'll use the 3 Pristines sect's supreme technique, 1 chi into 3 Pristines. Once I use it, I'll split into 3. All 3 of them will be my clones, and all 3 of them will be my main body. No matter how powerful his strange sword technique is, it can only kill one of my clones. It won't be able to do anything to me. Good, as long as you know what you're doing. The never-ending realm Grand Elder was merely reminding Boundless Tao out of caution. Seeing that Boundless Tao was getting serious, he did not say anything else. According to his understanding of Boundless Tao, once Boundless Tao became serious, among all the young geniuses on Fortune Mainland, other than Nantian Do and Sacrificial Flame Lu, no one could be considered his opponent. Xiao! Dao Wuya's figure leaped, and he landed on the platform. Without giving Xing Hui any time to initiate the battle, he said to Du Sen, "Let's begin." Good. Be careful. The battle officially begins. Du Sen's figure had already flown away from the battle. He knew that the entire platform would be turned into a blazing purgatory. On the platform, Dao Wuya didn't relax in the slightest when facing Xing Hui, who had defeated Nantian Do with a single sword technique. The moment Du Sen announced the start of the battle, he had already used the 3 pristine Sect Supreme technique. 1 Qi into 3 pristines. As soon as he used the 1 Qi into 3 pristines, 2 figures appeared on either side of him. As soon as the 2 figures appeared, they flew towards the left and right at the fastest speed possible. They were going to form a joint attack formation, but they were also going to increase the distance between them so that they wouldn't be caught by Xing Hui's Sword of the Glorious Sun. Unfortunately, this time, what awaited him wasn't the Sword of the Glorious Sun, but the Eternal Blazing Sun, which was only slightly weaker than the Sword of the Glorious Sun. On the mountain where the 3 pristine sect was located, the unending realm Grand Elder saw that Dao Wuya had successfully used the 1 Qi into 3 pristines and heaved a sigh of relief. Very good. Wuya is finally being careful this time. I believe that when he concentrates on his enemies, the only one who can truly pose a threat to him among the younger generation is. Before he could finish speaking, a blinding light lit up the entire platform. Countless people had no choice but to close their eyes because of this blinding light. Boom! In the next moment, a deafening roar turned into a shockwave that seemed to be able to overturn the entire Grand Assembly of Fortunes. It exploded from the center of the platform, just like when Xing Hui had used the Sword of the Glorious Sun. This is impossible. What's going on? He can still use the second sword technique? Didn't they say that this secret technique would exhaust all his energy in one strike? And I can feel that he has only recovered 30% of his true qi in a day. How can he still use this sword technique? The instant this resplendent and terrifying light spread out, all the elders cried out in shock, unable to believe what they had just seen. The unending realm Grand Elder of the 3 pristine sect felt his heart tighten. However, he quickly remembered that Dao Wuya had already used the 1 Qi into 3 pristines and heaved a sigh of relief. Thank goodness Wuya has already used the 1 Qi into 3 pristines. Once this secret technique is completed, unless we can kill both his original body and his 2 incarnations, Wuya can borrow the power of his incarnations to take the damage for him. No matter how powerful Dong Yang's sword technique is, it can only attack one person at a time. It can't do anything to Wuya. Before the unending realm Grand Elder could finish his breath, he heard the trembling voice of a transcendent realm Grand Elder beside him. Elder Ling Bao, this is an area of effect attack. This attack is an area of effect attack. Area of effect attack, it's actually an area of effect attack. Wait a minute, it's fine. Although this round of explosion is extremely tyrannical, because it's an area of effect explosion, its destructive power is not even half of yesterday's attack. He can withstand it. Boundless should be able to withstand it. Boundless' eyes widened as he stared at the explosion on the platform that had turned everything within a radius of 1,000 meters into a purgatory. How is this possible? It's an area of effect attack. Wait a minute, it's fine. Boom boom boom. Before Grand Elder Ling Bao could finish his words, a second explosion sounded from the platform. The second eternal blazing sun exploded. Grand Elder Ling Bao's relieved expression instantly froze, in the direction of the Great Sun Divine Palace, even though Xiang Xingji already had a certain understanding of the power of the eternal blazing sun after reading the Great Sun Golden Crow technique. Witnessing the explosion of two divine great eternal blazing suns with his own eyes still caused his breathing to stagnate. Eternal blazing sun. Eternal blazing sun. This is the power of a divine great eternal blazing sun. One eternal blazing sun is enough to severely injure a true energy realm expert. With two eternal blazing suns, even a true energy realm expert would face death. After a while, Xiang Xingji took in a deep breath. However, following that, a faint rumbling sound came from the platform and the cry of the golden crow, which caused his expression to change. Not dead. Dao Wuya was actually not dead. Furthermore, there was a strong resistance. Xing Hui, who had only recovered 30% of his strength, had to use the golden crow body to barely suppress it. While he was shocked by Dao Wuya's methods, his reaction was extremely fast. He immediately ordered the Grand Elders and Transformative Elders of the Great Sun Divine Palace beside him. Quickly act. Control this explosive force. Dusun also understood something and acted immediately. A majestic force pressed down on the burning torrent on the platform. Don't let this energy spread. Elders, please use the fire-calming divine pearl. This great fortune banquet is being held in our Great Sun Divine Palace. Our Great Sun Divine Palace cannot allow this blazing destructive power to harm the innocent. Elders, let's attack together. Xiao. 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 Instantly, with Great Sun Divine Palace's Palace Master Xing Ji in the lead, several never-ending realm experts and close to 10 transformative realm experts leaped up at the same time, landing in all directions of the competition platform. All of them used their own divine abilities to forcefully suppress this terrifying destructive force within the range of the platform, preventing it from spreading out in all directions. As a result, the eternal blazing sun, which was originally an area of effect attack and whose power was rather scattered, exploded in the middle of the platform under the joint efforts of several never-ending realm experts and more than 10 transcendent realm experts. This caused the power of the attack to increase by several folds, completely turning the arena into a fiery domain. The area of effect attack also showed signs of condensing into a mass and turning into an individual attack. Cultivators who cultivated the Golden Crow's bloodline and were born from fire were better off in this area. Cultivators who didn't cultivate the Golden Crow's bloodline and didn't have a strong resistance to fire didn't need others to act. Just this destructive flame energy alone was enough to kill them. The Grand Elder Ling Bao of the Three Clarities sect didn't react to Xing Ji and the others' actions at the start. When he sensed that there were still battle ripples on the battle stage, he finally understood what was going on. He was instantly enraged. Great Sun Divine Palace, you dare. The other elders of the Three Pure sect were also startled. They all roared and flew up. Stop! Xing Ji, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to disrupt the order of the platform and the fairness of the fortune gathering? Obviously, they also understood. If the power of the two eternal blazing suns exploded just like that, the vast destructive energy would rush in all directions and then gradually dissipate into nothingness. However, Xing Ji, a few never-ending realm experts, and a dozen transformative realm experts all acted at the same time, forcefully suppressing this burning torrent that should have spread out on the platform. This was equivalent to creating an excellent battlefield for Xing Hui, who had awakened the Golden Crow physique. Originally, Dao Wuya, who might have had a chance to fight again after resisting the two eternal blazing suns, was trapped in such a fiery purgatory. His last bit of strength would be exhausted, and he would be completely defeated by Xing Hui, who had a certain amount of battle strength. And if Dao Wuya was defeated, who would benefit the most from it? Without a doubt, it would be none other than Xing Jihua. Chapter 325. Xing Ji, how dare your Great Sun Divine Palace use such a method? Release the suppression. Supreme Elder Ling Bao roared as he tore apart the suppression formed by Xing Ji and the others, causing the energy from the explosion of the eternal sun to leak out through the gap. Xing Ji felt that Dao Wuya, who was still resisting in the center of the stage, was quickly fading away after Tsing Hui used the Golden Crow battle form. In just 1 or 2 breaths of time, he was almost extinguished. Xing Ji took the opportunity to release the suppression on the stage. Elder Ling Bao, what are you doing? That's right, why are you attacking us? We still have to work together to suppress the blazing energy from the explosion. If the blazing energy from the explosion is allowed to sweep out, then all of us Saint Realm cultivators will naturally be able to resist it, but cultivators below the Saint Realm will probably fall into a situation of life and death. Could it be that you intend to put the passageways of the various sects in danger by tearing apart our joint suppression? That's right, that's right. Our Great Sun Divine Palace, as the host of the Great Fortune Meeting, naturally can't allow any accidents to happen. With Elder Numinous Treasure's actions, how would the lives of the other passageways be affected? The voices of the Supreme Elders of the Great Sun Divine Palace rang out one after another. They all looked like they were trying to protect the situation and prevent the explosion from causing any accidents. Seeing this, Elder Ling Bao's face darkened. Boom boom boom. Ling Bao sensed Boundless Dao's aura, which was so low that it was about to be extinguished. He suddenly attacked and tore apart the suppression of the Great Sun Divine Palace leader and a few great elders. He grabbed Boundless Dao, who was severely injured and on the verge of death, and dragged him out of the battle platform. The 3 clear sect admits defeat. When the Great Sun Divine Palace saw Elder Ling Bao admit defeat, they naturally did not want to start a war with the Great Sun Divine Palace. They did not stop Ling Bao's actions. They only used a secret technique to draw the destructive energy from the explosion into the void, burning the void into a sea of fire. Before long, the sea of fire dissipated, and Tsing Hui appeared on the platform. His aura was weak, and he seemed to be at the end of his rope. However, compared to the dying Dao Wuya, he was still standing on the battle platform, even though he was extremely weak. He also seemed to have the power of the fire-warding pearl, which allowed him to preserve enough strength in this terrifying explosion. 3 clear sects. Ling Bao looked at the star sacrifice and then looked at Tsing Hui. He thought of the Great Sun Divine Palace high-level attendant Du Xiao who was with Tsing Hui not long ago and instantly understood something. However, they just stopped the explosion from spreading. Strictly speaking, they didn't interfere with this battle. Even if he wanted to nitpick, he couldn't say anything. In the end, he could only say angrily, "You all truly have good methods. Looks like Dao Wuya is no longer able to fight. Thank you for letting me win." Tsing Hui did not care about this never-ending realm expert's resentment. He cupped his hands and spoke in a clear voice. Good. 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 You're Dong Yang, right? I'll remember you. Ling Bao snorted coldly, and there was a trace of threat in his tone. He turned around and left. "Heh," Tsing Hui chuckled softly. If it was any other prominent divine realm expert, they would probably not be able to eat or sleep well after being hated by a never-ending realm grand elder of a supreme sect. However, Tsing Hui, soon, all the cultivators on the Fortune mainland would hate him to the core. Even those who had cultivated to the false core realm were no exception. What was a mere Ling Bao to him? Too much debt was no burden. Elder Du Sen, please announce the result of this battle. Alright, since the 3 clear sect has admitted defeat. I declare the winner of this battle to be, wait a moment. Before Du Sen could open his mouth, Gauchen from the Purple Firmament Palace had already shouted. He stood up with a cold expression and said, "The Fortune Grand Assembly does not allow the use of power that is not one's own." What Dong Yang used just now was not an immortal technique, but a one-time use artifact similar to the sky-shaking lightning. It cannot be counted as a result. In my opinion, those who do not abide by the rules of the Fortune Grand Assembly should be disqualified. Their cultivation should also be crippled and expelled from the Fortune Grand Assembly. Only then can the Fortune Grand Assembly maintain its fairness. Huh? Ling Bao, who was filled with resentment towards this battle, suddenly came to his senses when he heard Gaochen's words. He said loudly, "That's right. Nephew Gaochen is right. What Dongyang used just now was neither an immortal technique nor a magical artifact. It was obvious that it was a one-time use artifact refined by Senior for him. If such a person can stand out in the Fortune Grand Assembly, then what's the point of competing in the future? Whoever has more resources can just send their artifact up. There's no need to go through so much trouble." Elder Ling Bao's words naturally received the support of many people. Qing Su was like a dark horse, consecutively defeating Nantian Do and Boundless Dao, two prodigies who had a chance of becoming the strongest, but the methods he used were basically nothing impressive. No one acknowledged his strength, so he was unable to convince the masses, so there were obviously many people who were jealous of him. Now that the Gaochen, numinous treasure, and so on had lured him out, who knew how many people were opposed to him? The situation fell into chaos. Using an external artifact. Xing Hui looked at Gaochen and the others who agreed with him with an indifferent expression and said, "The Great Sun Golden Crow technique that I cultivate was not only contributed to the Purple Firmament Palace, but also to the Great Sun Divine Palace. These two forces should know that the Eternal Blazing Sun I used just now is a special artifact derived from the Great Sun Golden Crow technique. If I can't use the special artifact derived from my own abilities, then doesn't that mean that all of you here are not qualified to use the artifacts refined by your seniors? Or perhaps, in this Fortune Grand Banquet, no one is allowed to use weapons or artifacts. Let's just rely on our own abilities to determine who is better. What do you think?" Xing Hui's words stunned the cultivators who had been agreeing with him. Xing Ji of the Great Sun Divine Palace quickly said, "That's right. I can confirm what Elder Dongyang said. The technique he used just now was an attack derived from the Great Sun Golden Crow technique that he cultivated. It's equivalent to an ultimate secret technique that is derived after one's cultivation has reached a certain level. The Fortune Grand Banquet rules that other than basic items such as weapons and flying swords, no one is allowed to use artifacts from others to interfere with the fairness of the battle. However, the Eternal Blazing Sun is an attack technique that Elder Dongyang cultivated himself. If you really want to pursue this matter, then as Elder Dongyang said, none of your artifacts can be used." Hearing Xing Hui and Xing Ji's words, the noisy crowd gradually quieted down. Gaochen of the Purple Firmament Palace also changed his expression and slowly sat down. Not allowed to use artifacts. If they couldn't use artifacts, all of their battle strength would be reduced by 30%. Originally, many of them could still compete for the top 3 rankings by relying on artifacts. However, if they gave up their artifacts, they would be completely eliminated. Therefore, he didn't dare to say that artifacts were not allowed to be used. Moreover, they did have some understanding of the so-called Eternal Blazing Sun in Xing Hui's hands. It was indeed a derivative of the Great Sun Golden Crow technique. According to their calculations, even if Xing Hui refined the Eternal Blazing Sun, 2 would be the limit. It was absolutely impossible for him to refine a third. If they really did not use artifacts in exchange for Xing Hui's request to not use the Eternal Blazing Sun, they would be the ones to regret it. Very well. Since no one has any objections, then Elder Dongyang wins this battle. Seeing that no one was speaking, Dusun turned to Xing Hui and said, "Elder Dongyang, do you choose to rest for a day or continue? I need to rest for a day." Before Dusun could finish, Xing Hui had already spoken. "All right." Dusun smiled and made an inviting gesture to Xing Hui. His attitude was very kind. The more he looked at Xing Hui, the more he liked him. Although the kid in front of him didn't have a high cultivation, his methods were strange. He had actually helped their Great Sun Divine Palace's Heaven's Pride, Lu Shigua, eliminate the 2 biggest threats. At this rate, there was no doubt that Lu Shigua would compete for first place. If Lu Shigua won in the end, Xing Hui would take the credit. Under the somewhat indignant gazes of the crowd, Xing Hui leaped up and landed among the people of Burning Sky Sect. The people of Burning Sky Sect looked at Xing Hui with embarrassment, not knowing what to say. However, Great Sun Divine Palace's Du Xiu stepped forward with a smile and cupped his hands. Congratulations, Elder Dong Yang. If Elder Dong Yang can maintain this momentum, I'm afraid there's no hope for you to get into the top 3. I'll take advantage of your auspicious words. Originally, I just wanted to get into the top 10. But at this rate, I really want to try and see if I can get into the top 3. Xing Hui smiled. Then we'll look forward to seeing Elder Dong Yang continue to rise like a hot knife through butter. As Xing Hui stepped down, Lu Shiguo also leaped down and looked directly at Nantian Do. Brother Nantian Do, please enlighten me. In the primordial sect's direction, Nantian Do, who had obviously not fully recovered from his injuries, suddenly had an ugly expression. He didn't expect Lu Shiguo to take advantage of this opportunity to add insult to injury. Nantian Do glanced at Lu Shiguo and then looked at Xing Hui, who was obviously on the same side as Great Sun Divine Palace. He took a deep breath and said with a gloomy expression, Lu Shiguo, your Great Sun Divine Palace is really something. Brother Nantian Do, you mean? Nantian Do looked at Lu Shiguo, who was in peak condition. He took a deep breath and said through gritted teeth, I admit defeat. If the battle continued, his chances of winning were less than 10%. Moreover, his injuries would only worsen. In the end, he might not even be able to secure the 3rd place. Brother Nantian Do, thank you. Lu Shiguo smiled and turned to the genius of the White Tiger sect. Brother Bai Lu, please. Bai Lu had been severely injured by Nantian Do. Although he was in peak condition after 2 days of recovery, Lu Shiguo was an expert on the same level as Nantian Do. If he couldn't defeat Nantian Do, he naturally wouldn't be a match for Lu Shiguo. Moreover, Lu Shiguo was gentle and didn't provoke him. Moreover, this was the territory of the Great Sun Divine Palace. Bai Lu didn't dare to be too presumptuous because of the Great Sun Divine Palace's face. He might as well do Lu Shiguo a favor. I admit that I can't defeat Brother Lu Shiguo. I admit defeat. Thank you, Brother Bai Lu. Lu Shiguo cupped his fists. I'll fight Brother Lu Shiguo. Please give me some pointers on my fire immortal art. Ling Huyu, who lost to Nantian Do earlier, jumped out. He had exchanged glances with Boundless Dao before, so there was a high chance that he was one of the experts secretly supported by the Three Clarities sect. Now that he was fighting with Sacrificial Fire Lu, it was just a pretense to determine the victor. His real goal was to weaken Sacrificial Fire Lu. Chapter 326. In the following day, the battles never stopped. Especially Lu Jianhua, who was challenged by 3 people in a row. It was clear that these people had either reached an agreement in secret or had received some benefits. At the same time, they began to weaken Lu Li's sacrificial fire. Under such circumstances, even though Lu Jianhua had yet to experience any bitter battles, he had no choice but to rest for a day after defeating 2 people in a row. However, with today's victory and the previous victories, Lu Jianhua had accumulated 4 victories without a single defeat. Everyone could see that Lu Jianhua was getting closer and closer to the number 1 seat, and it was only a matter of time before he sat on that seat. That night, the various powers under the fortune pageant were in a commotion, and countless deals were made under the night sky. When a new day arrived, Boundless Dao and Nantian Do dragged their bodies that had yet to recover to their peak and challenged 2 cultivators. The 2 cultivators admitted defeat at the same time, and with their victory, Nantian Do and Boundless Dao gained a day's rest. On the other hand, Lu Jianhua immediately received a challenge from Gouchen of the Purple Cloud Palace. Even though Gouchen was slightly weaker than Nantian Do, Lu Jihua, and Boundless Dao, he was still a prodigy that the Purple Cloud Palace had carefully nurtured. He was a saint at the true origin level. When he fought with his full strength, he was able to match up to Lu Jihua. Only when Lu Jihua used 4 suns hovering in the sky of 10 suns burning the heavens did he manage to defeat Gouchen. However, after this battle, Lu Jihua was greatly injured. As for Qing Su, he had also challenged the vice sect master of the Fire Phoenix sect, Yu Yan, long ago. The two of them had erupted in a prolonged, great battle. This great battle allowed everyone to truly see Qing Su's battle prowess without the glorious sun sword. He was even stronger than the vision domain expert, especially when he was in his golden crow form. His battle prowess was tyrannical, enough to contend against true energy realm experts. However, the drawback of the vision domain expert's insufficient energy limited Qing Su's strength in the end. Although people paid attention to his strength, more people still placed their attention on Lu Jihua and Dao Wuya. As for Nantian Do, after losing 2 rounds, he had almost lost the number 1 seat in the fortune pageant. The battle continued. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, before they knew it, Lu Changhua had already accumulated 8 victories. On the other hand, everyone discovered to their surprise that the elder of the Burning Heaven sect, Dong Yang, who had always kept a low profile, had actually accumulated 6 victories before they knew it. He had even defeated the Holy Son of the Netherworld sect with a single glory of sun before he recovered from his injuries. Following the defeat of the Underworld sect's Holy Son, everyone felt that something was not quite right. Even Nan Tiando, Dao Wuya, Lu Jihua, and the others began to take Xing Hui seriously. After all, Xing Hui and Sacrificial Flame Lu were the only 2 contestants who had a perfect record. The remaining contestants, Nan Tiando and Dao Wuya, although their win rates were shocking, their overall results were still lower than Xing Hui's. They couldn't help but take this discovery seriously. This is strange. This kid called Dong Yang is only in the prominent divine stage and has already defeated Dao Wuya and Nan Tiando. Logically speaking, he should have been eliminated. Why is he still alive and kicking? Moreover, he has already won 6 rounds. Now, other than Sacrificial Flame Lu, who has the highest chance of becoming number 1, his only opponents are the Heavenly Court's Holy Son, Hao Tian, and the Purple Cloud Palace's Holy Son, Go Chen, right? Putting Sacrificial Flame Lu aside, as long as he can defeat either Go Chen or Hao Tian, he has a 90% chance of becoming one of the top 3. This kid has not revealed his strength, yet he has lasted until now. Could it be that the 6 supreme sects are going to fail miserably? They have already failed. Are Nan Tian Do and Dao Wuya not examples? I'd like to see how far he can go. Discussions continued. At this moment, everyone finally focused their attention on Xing Hui. A new day of the fortune pageant had begun. This time, without waiting for the others to take the stage, Go Chen from the Purple Cloud Palace had already leaped up and landed in the center of the platform. He stared at Xing Hui and said, "Your good luck ends here. Come down and accept your death." Xing Hui glanced at Go Chen, then looked at the Heavenly Court's Holy Son, Hao Tian, and the last remaining opponent, Sacrificial Flame Lu from the Great Sun Divine Palace. Finally, he stood up slowly and said, "Yes, it's about time to end." After a few rounds, his victories had been extremely dangerous. In the last round, he had relied on the Sword of the Glorious Sun. Right now, in the eyes of the crowd, he only had 30% of his chi at his peak. This was also the reason why Go Chen dared to challenge Xing Hui without hesitation. Whoosh! In a flash, Xing Hui landed in the center of the platform. This time, his arrival did not cause too much of an uproar. Although he had also relied on the power of the Sword of the Glorious Sun to defeat the Yellow Spring Saint, he had only used this powerful killing move after fighting with the Yellow Spring Saint for a while. It was not a sneak attack, but it had slightly proved his ability. Under such circumstances, the crowd was impressed by his good luck. While he had managed to win 6 consecutive battles without anyone noticing, they were also curious to see how far he could go in the end. Dong Yang, I'll give you one last chance. Give up the chance to comprehend the Fortune Jade, and the Purple Cloud Palace will give you another chance to become a member of the Purple Cloud Palace. Otherwise, do you think Dao Wuya and Nan Tian Do will be able to protect you in the future just because you ruined their hopes for the number 1 throne? Offending 2 great supreme sects, only death awaits you. Go Chen stared at Xing Hui and said coldly. Is it because your IQ is too low, or is it because you're so short-sighted that you can only see what's happening in front of you? can't you see that I've already received the protection of the Great Sun Divine Palace? With the Great Sun Divine Palace behind me, what can the Taishur sect and the Sanqing sect do to me? Do you know why I abandoned the Purple Cloud Palace and chose the Great Sun Divine Palace? It's because I'm truly worried about the Purple Cloud Palace's ability to nurture disciples. I'm afraid that if I stay with you so-called geniuses of the Purple Cloud Palace for too long, my brain will also become stupid and arrogant. In the end, I won't even know if I offend someone I can't afford to offend and get killed by a sword. Xing Hui looked at Go Chen with pity as if he was looking at a retard. Although his voice was soft, everyone present at the fortune pageant was an accomplished master of cultivation. Their hearing was extremely sharp. For a moment, their expressions became extremely strange. They looked at the elders and palace lords of the Purple Cloud Palace, wanting to laugh but not daring to. On the other hand, the supreme elder of the Purple Cloud Palace, Xiang Hong, was furious. How dare you insult the Purple Cloud Palace? You're courting death. Seeing that Xiang Hong seemed to have the intention to make a move, the Starry Worship Palace Master, who had a smile on her face, hurriedly said, Grand Elder Xiang Hong, please don't be impatient. I think this is actually Elder Dong Yang's method of using words to confuse the North Star True Disciple. He wants to use words to make the North Star True Disciple lose control of his emotions and gain the upper hand in the following battle. This kind of tactic is allowed. When Xing Hui saw that Star Worship Palace Master stood up for him, he smiled and said, You're right, Star Worship Palace Master. My goal is to confuse his mind with words. However, for a piece of trash like him who only knows how to be arrogant in his own sect and get beaten up the moment he leaves, it doesn't matter if I use this kind of tactic or not. How dare you? Dong Yang, how dare you? Do you really think that I can't do anything to you after joining the Great Sun Divine Palace? Go Chen was furious. Ever since he was taken in as a disciple by Supreme Elder Xiang Hong and was carefully trained, who in the Purple Cloud Palace dared to disrespect him? Who dared to speak to him in such a manner? Go Chen, why are you still talking nonsense? Just finish him off right away. Elder Du Sen, why aren't you announcing the start of the battle? Xiang Hong's eyes were cold as he reprimanded Go Chen. He then turned to Du Sen, who was gloating at the side. Du Sen, who originally wanted to continue watching the show, had to restrain himself when he heard Xiang Hong's words. He asked seriously, Are the two of you ready? Why do we need to prepare to deal with someone who only knows how to bark behind closed doors? Xing Hui said calmly. I'm going to kill you. Dong Yang, I'm going to kill you. Go Chen's eyes were bloodshot from anger. All right then. Be careful, the two of you. Friendship comes first, competition comes second. Let's forgive and forget. All right, let's begin. Let's begin, Du Sen said as he leaped up. As soon as he finished speaking, Gao Chen roared and unleashed the aura of a true energy stage powerhouse. He abandoned all his defenses and attacked with all his might. Die! Clang! Rank 9 Divine Sword, unsheathed. Sun Glory. In the next moment, a dazzling light exploded from the platform. Endless light and heat erupted and instantly engulfed everyone on the platform, including Go Chen. Huff! Elder Xiang Hong from the Purple Cloud Palace suddenly stood up when he saw the blinding light erupting from the center of the Colosseum. His eyes were filled with anger. This sword strike. This sword again. How is this possible? Didn't they say that this sword technique has a huge drawback? Didn't they say that his true energy would be completely depleted after this attack? He defeated the Yellow Spring Saint yesterday and only recovered 30% of his true energy. How can he perform this sword technique again? It's the same sword technique again. Go Chen is done for. He was provoked by Elder Dong Yang and went all out without holding back. Now that he's hit by this violent and blazing sword technique. TSK, I wonder what will happen to him. I'm curious. How can Dong Yang perform such a powerful sword technique again? Doesn't he only have 30% of his true energy left? Did he consume some top-notch medicine to recover his true energy? The dazzling light on the platform immediately attracted everyone's attention. Some were shocked, some were stunned, and some were confused. Some were even gloating over Go Chen's predicament. Finally, the dazzling light on the platform faded away, revealing Xing Hui, who had exhausted his true energy, and Go Chen, who was lying on the ground on the verge of death. The outcome was clear. If he was not worried that Xiang Hong, an Eternal Realm expert, would go crazy and attack him without regard for the rules, he would have killed Go Chen on the spot. Chapter 327. You. Gao Chen stared at Xing Hui as he struggled to raise his right hand and point at him. His expression was filled with anger and frustration. I told you that you're a piece of trash who only knows how to fight among yourselves. You didn't believe me. Now you know your mistake. Xing Hui panted for a while to recover his strength. Then, he calmly sheathed his sword. Pfft. Gao Chen, who was still panting, felt a surge of anger when he heard what Xing Hui said. He could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood essence as he glared at Xing Hui. Then, he tilted his head and fainted from anger. Gao Chen. Xiang Hong roared angrily. Then, he scolded the Central Earth Branch Palace Master, Xiang Jun, who was next to him. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and bring him to treat his injuries. Xiang Jun responded with an aggrieved expression. Wasn't all this trouble caused by you forcing Xing Hui to hand over the right to comprehend the Fortune Divine Jade? However, he didn't dare to say these words out loud. He only leaped up and landed on the platform, saying, "We admit defeat." Then, he personally stepped forward and brought Gao Chen away. In the end, when he passed by Xing Hui, he looked at Xing Hui with a complicated expression. He opened his mouth as if he wanted to say something. However, when he thought of the conflict between Xing Hui and the Purple Cloud Palace, he could not say a word. He could only leave with Gao Chen in silence. Xing Hui shook his head. He did not say anything to Xiang Jun. Instead, he turned to Du Sen, who had a strange expression on his face, and said, "Please announce the result." Du Sen regained his senses and nodded. "I announce that the winner is Dong Yang of the Burning Sky sect. Elder Dong Yang, do you plan to continue the challenge or, I need to rest for a day?" Xing Hui said. "Then, please." Xing Hui leaped and landed in the Burning Sky sect's camp. This made the Burning Sky sect even more embarrassed. Xing Hui had just obtained a victory and accumulated 7 victories. He had a chance of entering the top 3. Logically speaking, they should go and congratulate him. However, the conversation he had with Gao Chen and the rage of the Purple Cloud Palace's Supreme Elder had undoubtedly made everyone in Burning Sky sect understand that he had completely fallen out with the Purple Cloud Palace. Under such circumstances, as a subordinate force of the Purple Cloud Palace, Burning Sky sect really did not know how to treat Xing Hui. Elder Dong Yang, congratulations. Du Xiu, on the other hand, stepped forward to express her congratulations without hesitation. Xing Hui nodded slightly but did not reply. Because the next battle would be a direct confrontation between him and Lu Jianhua. After he defeated Lu Jianhua, the attitude of the Great Sun Divine Palace towards him might not be so warm. Palace Lord, it seems like 2 of the top 3 spots in this fortune meeting will be taken by my Great Sun Divine Palace. In the direction of the Great Sun Divine Palace, Supreme Elder Ji Guang, who had already come out of seclusion, looked at Xing Ji and said with a smile. I have underestimated Dong Yang. He actually managed to reach this step unknowingly. Now, he has already obtained 7 victories, right? Palace Lord, do you think that he might be a threat to the throne of the sacrificial flame? It doesn't matter. When the 2 of them fight in the final round, let Dong Yang concede to the sacrificial flame. I'm just afraid that he won't be tempted by the throne of the fortune meeting. It's not up to him. He has already thoroughly offended the Purple Cloud Palace. The Primeval sect and the 3 Clears sect are also dissatisfied with him. If he doesn't join our great sun divine palace, when the three supreme sects pursue the matter, only death will await him. Of course, we still have to observe his performance in the battle with the heavenly court's holy prince Hao Tian. If he can use the brilliant sun sword art consecutively, it proves that he has the ability to threaten the sacrificial flame. At that time, we can just give him some benefits. Unless he doesn't want to stay in the Fortune mainland anymore, I believe that he will make the right choice. Ji Guang smiled. That's true. Xing Ji nodded slightly, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. The Fortune meeting is being held in our great Sun Divine Palace. If he really doesn't know what's good for him, Xing Hui's brilliant sun sword art had defeated the Purple Cloud Palace's Gao Chen, causing an uproar among the crowd. However, the competition for the throne of the Fortune meeting continued. And today, Dao Wuya was about to face him in the battle for the first place, or rather, the second place. Against Nantian Do. If he could defeat Nantian Do, and then defeat the sacrificial flame, then it would be unknown who would obtain the throne of the Fortune meeting. In this battle, the techniques displayed by Nantian Do and Dao Wuya shocked Xing Hui. Both Dao Wuya and Nantian Do were at the pinnacle of the true energy realm. Perhaps their techniques were still inexperienced compared to those of the older true energy realm cultivators who had awakened the saintly body. However, with the help of immortal techniques and secret treasures, they were able to do as they pleased in the true energy realm. The battle between the two of them made Xing Hui truly understand the gap between him and the two of them. If it weren't for the fact that the two of them underestimated him and didn't understand his techniques, he wouldn't even have a 30% chance of winning against them if he didn't use the divine art. Without reaching the true energy realm, there's no way I can fight against the heavens' favorites cultivated by the supreme sects. Xing Hui mumbled to himself. The throne of the Fortune meeting was like pulling chestnuts out of the fire for him. Luckily, it was now the critical moment for him to reap the fruits of his labor. Next, he only needed to face one enemy, the heaven's favorite of the Great Sun Divine Palace, Sacrificial Flame Lu, who had a high-grade fire-warding pearl. The battle between Nantian Do and Dao Wuya ended in Dao Wuya's victory. At the most intense moment of the battle, Dao Wuya had a slight upper hand. However, before the two of them could fight to the death, Nantian Do voluntarily admitted defeat. This way, the two of them could preserve enough vitality to continue fighting for the top three. One had to admit that these two heavens' favorites were very courageous. Otherwise, if they really fought to the death, it would only benefit Sacrificial Flame Lu and the others. A day's time came to an end. And then, the event continued. In this battle, Xing Hui could not avoid facing the heavens' favorite of the heavenly court, Hao Tian. However, just like the Gao Chen, the Saint of Yellow Springs, and so on, Hao Tian's strength lay in his secret treasures apart from the fact that he had reached true element realm through resources. His other aspects were not worth mentioning at all. Qing Su had completely nullified the advantage of his secret treasures with his Class 9 God artifact, flying swords, and armor. Instead, he even gained a slight upper hand. After a huge battle, he grasped the opportunity and secured victory with the glorious sun in the end. In this way, he and Sacrificial Flame Lu were tied for first place with 8 consecutive victories. Behind them was Dao Wuya, with 7 wins and 1 loss. The shape of the top 3 had been formed. No matter what, there would definitely be a place for Xing Hui in the top 3. This result naturally made the Burning Sky sect happy and worried. They were happy because after this battle, the Burning Sky sect would definitely become famous and have hope of revival. They were worried because Xing Hui had fallen out with the Purple Cloud Palace. Who knew if the Purple Cloud Palace's anger would affect the Burning Sky sect? Elder Dong Yang, the palace master invites you. Not long after returning to the Burning Sky sect, Du Xiu came to invite him respectfully. Xing Hui glanced at Du Xiu. Without guessing, he knew why the Starry Palace Master invited him. Considering that the Fortune Divine Jade was still in the hands of the Great Sun Divine Palace, although the possibility of the Great Sun Divine Palace playing tricks in front of so many sects in the world was not high, Xing Hui still followed Du Xiu to the East Flame Palace to listen to what they had to say. In the East Flame Palace, not only were Du Sen, Ji Guang, and the Palace Master, Starry Palace, there were also 3 other elders. Of the 3 elders, one was at the transformative realm, one was at the endless realm, and the last one's aura was perfect and did not leak out at all. If Tsing Hui had not seen it with his own eyes, he would not have dared to believe that he really existed. Fake core. This was definitely an expert who had cultivated to the fake core realm. Greetings Palace Master, greetings elders. Tsing Hui politely bowed to everyone. Dong Yang, I didn't expect you to hide so deeply. You actually made it into the top 3 without anyone noticing. You can't judge a book by its cover. Starry Palace looked at Tsing Hui with a smile still on his face. Palace Master, you flatter me. I was just a little lucky and managed to survive. Otherwise, how could I have the chance to stand out in front of so many true energy realm experts? Actually, we don't need to say it. Dong Yang, you should know why we called you here, right? I know. Tsing Hui looked at Starry Palace. Palace Master, you want me to lose to Sacrificial Flame Lu on purpose in tomorrow's battle, right? That's right. Even if your chances of winning are not high in a head-on battle, Sacrificial Flame still has to leave enough power to fight against Dao Wuya. I don't want the 2 geniuses of our Great Sun Divine Palace to fight to the death in the Fortune Banquet and let the 3 Pures sect take advantage of it. Even though I have no objections to Palace Master Starry Palace's request, I don't agree with what Palace Master Starry Palace said about my chances of winning are not high. Oh. Hearing that Tsing Hui had no objections to his request, Starry Palace smiled. The other elders, including the fake Dan expert, all nodded in satisfaction. They seemed to be praising Tsing Hui for being tactful. Elder Ji Guang laughed when he heard the words that clearly belonged to a young Do Chi. Dong Yang, we have carefully studied your tactics. Many of your attacks are focused on fire affinity damage. However, Yihua has an upper-grade fire-repelling bead. With the strength of that upper-grade fire-repelling bead, it would be considered not bad for Yihua to survive even 20 to 30% of your attacks. Therefore, how can you defeat him? Elder Ji Guang, don't forget that Sacrificial Flame has a fire-repelling pearl, and so do I, but Sacrificial Flame is different from you. He has other methods besides fire elemental attacks. Then, how do you know that I don't have other methods besides fire elemental attacks? Ha, it's a good thing for a young man to be ambitious. The other methods you're talking about are the divine weapons, armor, and flying swords that you revealed 2 days ago. They are indeed not bad, but it's still not enough if you want to win against Sacrificial Flame. The fake Dan Stage Supreme Elder spoke. If I only rely on the flying swords, armor, and divine weapons, it's naturally not enough. But elders, can you make an agreement with me? Agreement? What agreement? If I face Sacrificial Flame, regardless of the outcome, I will admit defeat and hand over the first place to Sacrificial Flame Lu. I will take the second place. However, if I can gain the upper hand in the battle and show a certain chance of winning, the elders will have to provide me with the refining materials for the 10 Suns Burning Sky secret treasure and I will have the right to comprehend the Fortune Divine Jade first. Chapter 328. Hearing Tsing Hui's words, Ji Guang, Du Sen, Xing Ji, and Lu Qilong, the Grand Supreme Elder of the False Pellet Stage, were stunned. How is that possible? How can you defeat the Sacrificial Flame? The elders shook their heads. Lu Qilong, the Grand Supreme Elder of the False Pellet Stage, waved his hand and stopped them. Since it's an agreement, we can give you 10 Red Sun secret treasures if you can do it. It's not easy to make the Red Sun wheel, but after thousands of years of accumulation, the Great Sun Divine Palace has dozens of them. We can give you 10 of them, and we can promise you that you have the priority to comprehend the Fortune Divine Jade. But what if you can't do it? If I can't do it, I only need to use 5 of the 15 days to comprehend the Fortune Divine Jade and comprehend the 10 Suns Burning Sky. Lu Qilong, Ji Guang, and Xing Ji looked at each other and nodded. Okay, we promise you. After a while, Lu Qilong said, Now, can you tell us where your confidence in defeating the sacrificial flame comes from? Xing Hui thought for a while and decided to tell them the truth. The chaos inheritance I received was at the 20th level, and the chaos I inherited was at the 10th level. 10th level? Xing Ji's eyes widened. He immediately understood what Xing Hui was referring to. The divine technique? The divine technique that the 10th level Son of Chaos received that can raise one's cultivation by 1 level? Yes. Xing Hui nodded. It's a divine technique that can raise one's cultivation by 1 level. The divine technique can raise his cultivation to the true energy realm for a short period of time. True energy realm cultivation, divine grade golden crow combat body, and the divine grade divine weapon that he got by luck should be at the 9th level. The elders looked at each other and didn't say anything for a while. Lu Qilong's face also showed a bitter smile. I have considered all the factors that need to be considered, but I have neglected the divine art that can turn the situation around. It seems that we have lost the bet before it has even begun. Sigh. If there is a divine technique, then the sacrificial flame is indeed inferior to you. No wonder you are somewhat unwilling. The throne of first place is already within your reach, but you are still willing to give it to the sacrificial flame. It must be difficult for you. Star Sacrificial Tao. Xing Hui smiled. It doesn't matter. As long as I can fully comprehend the 10 suns burning the heavens immortal technique, I think it's worth it. In fact, before the start of the battle, I didn't think that I would have a chance to compete for first place. After all, no matter how powerful the divine technique is, it can only be used once to determine a victory. Ha, that's great. Dongyang, you don't have to use your divine technique to fight with the sacrificial flame. We'll trust you. Is it the scarlet sun will that supports the 10 suns burning sky? Just leave it to us. You have 8 victories, Yi Hua has 9, and Dao Wuya only has 7. The rankings of the two of you are pretty much set. Therefore, you should prepare to conserve your energy and comprehend the Fortune Jade. The effect of the Fortune Jade is the best at the beginning, but it will decrease gradually. Although the decrease is slow, it is indeed the case that those who comprehend it first will be able to comprehend more skills. Lu Qilong laughed and said. Hearing this, Xing Hui was slightly startled. He quickly cupped his hands and said, Thank you, Grand Elder. Beside them, Xing Ji could not help but sigh emotionally when he heard the conversation between the two of them. Back then, when you made the deal with us, we thought that 5 days of comprehension time for the creation divine jade was your limit. We never expected that you would actually be able to obtain the second position. Whether or not I can secure the second throne will depend on Daoist brother Lu Jianhua. If Daoist brother Lu Jianhua can defeat Dao Wuya, my second throne will be secured. If Daoist brother Lu Jianhua loses, haha, even if he loses, the 3 of you will have 8 victories and 1 loss each. With the power of your divine technique, it won't be hard for you to defeat him. Elder Ji Guang said with a smile. Xing Hui nodded. Then, tomorrow, Yi Hua will battle with Dongyang. Dongyang will admit defeat. Then, Yi Hua will battle with Dao Wuya to determine the first and second place. That's how it should be. The elders of the Great Sun Divine Palace came to a consensus. On the other hand, Qing Su had achieved his objective indirectly, so he smiled. The 10 suns burning the heavens immortal technique required 81 great sun crystals to be refined into a scarlet sun will using a special method. Only then could the 10 suns burning the heavens immortal technique be unleashed to the extreme. A scarlet sun will corresponded to one of the scorching suns of the 10 suns burning the heavens immortal technique. Without these 10 scarlet sun wheels, the 10 suns burning the heavens immortal technique would still be powerful, but it would not be able to achieve the boundless divine might of a saint realm expert's domain. The materials used to refine these 10 scarlet sun wheels were not precious. The key was that they were not easy to refine and took up a lot of time and energy. This could be seen from the fact that the Great Sun Divine Palace only had a few dozen scarlet sun wheels. Even if the Great Sun Divine Palace wanted to take out 10 Scarlet Sun wheels at once, it wouldn't be easy. The night passed quickly. With the dawn of the second day, the grand creation banquet finally ushered in the crucial moment of revealing the first place. Unlike before, when Qing Su appeared as a representative of the Burning Sky sect, countless gazes looked towards him at the same time. There were those who doubted him, those who looked down on him, those who looked down on him, those who looked down on him, those who admired him, and those who envied him. There was no need to list all of them. However, Tsing Hui's expression didn't change much in the face of these people's gazes. It was as if he didn't care about their gazes. When this scene fell into the eyes of many seniors and elders, they secretly nodded. Ignoring everything else, just Qing Su's mental state of mind that was as immovable as a mountain was praiseworthy. If it were anyone else, they would definitely not be able to remain as composed as they were right now under the gazes of countless people. The grand creation banquet continued as usual. Elder Du Sun went on stage and directly announced the start of the grand creation banquet. Then, Lu Jihua jumped up and his gaze fell on Tsing Hui. Under the faint expectant gazes of the crowd, he stretched out his hand to Tsing Hui and said, "Brother Dong Yang is definitely the biggest dark horse in this grand creation banquet. You have brought unexpected surprises to everyone, especially the Golden Crow divine body that Brother Dong Yang has cultivated. It is even more amazing. I am very curious about the power of the Golden Crow divine body. I wonder if Brother Dong Yang can help me." Tsing Hui seemed to have already rehearsed with Lu Jihua. He smiled and said, "The reason why I can reach this level today is all because of luck. I know my own true abilities very well. I am definitely not Brother Jihua's opponent. Therefore, I am willing to admit defeat." After Tsing Hui finished speaking, the crowd was in an uproar. Many boos sounded in the air above the grand creation banquet. Obviously, based on the relationship between Tsing Hui and the Great Sun Divine Palace, they had already guessed the reason behind Tsing Hui's admission of defeat. Silence. Silence. Hearing the chaotic atmosphere in the arena, Du Sun immediately channeled his true origin energy and shouted, suppressing the voices of the crowd, "Since Elder Dong Yang of the Burning Sky sect has already admitted defeat, then Elder Dong Yang's score of 9 battles is 8 wins and 1 loss. As for the remaining battle between Lu Jihua and Dao Wuya, it will be the final battle to determine the number 1 person of the Fortune Grand Assembly. Lu Jihua, do you want to apply for a day of rest or continue to challenge?" "Naturally, I want to continue to challenge." Lu Jihua's gaze turned towards Dao Wuya in the 3 clear sects direction. "Brother Wuya, it's time for the two of us to decide who is better. If you defeat me, you still have a chance to compete for the number 1 spot. If you lose, there will be no more hope. I have been waiting for this day for a long time. You guys borrowed Dong Yang's strength to weaken me and Nantian Dou's strength time and time again. Do you really think that you can firmly occupy the number 1 spot? Naive. I will definitely not let a despicable person like you continue to occupy our Fortune Mainland's supreme divine item." Dao Wuya stood up and leaped onto the platform. The atmosphere of the final battle was about to erupt. However, this battle was already meaningless to Tsing Hui. With a leap, he returned to the Burning Sky sect's area. Seeing Tsing Hui's return, Rockheart sighed, feeling a sense of loss in his heart. Even though Tsing Hui was not a member of the Burning Sky sect, he was still using the Burning Sky sect's name to participate in the Fortune Grand Banquet. Moreover, he only needed to win 1 more battle to defeat Lu Jihua, and he would be able to obtain the number 1 spot in the Fortune Grand Banquet, becoming the first disciple in the history of the Burning Sky sect to obtain the number 1 spot in the Fortune Grand Banquet. However, at the moment when he was so close to obtaining the number 1 spot, he gave up. Once he gave up, the entire Burning Sky sect could forget about obtaining the number 1 spot in the Fortune Grand Banquet for the rest of their lives. In just a short moment, she had already put away those unrealistic thoughts in her heart. Even though Tsing Hui had missed out on the number 1 spot, if Lu Jihua could defeat Dao Wuya, the number 2 spot would definitely belong to Tsing Hui. If he could obtain the number 2 spot, everyone in the Burning Sky sect would thank the heavens and pray to Buddha. After all, the Burning Sky sect's best result in history had never been to enter the top 10, let alone the top 3 and obtain the number 2 spot. On the battle stage, the battle between Lu Jihua and Dao Wuya quickly erupted. In order to prevent any accidents and ensure that nothing went wrong, not only did the Grand Elders of the Great Sun Divine Palace personally appear and guard the battle stage, but even the Three Purities sect also sent experts to stand outside the battle stage. If anything happened to Dao Wuya on the battle stage, or if the Great Sun Divine Palace tried to interfere with the fairness of the battle, they would immediately step in to stop them. Unfortunately, the accident did not happen. Lu Jihua had won consecutively and his fighting spirit was high. His aura had already accumulated to the extreme. On the other hand, Dao Wuya's spirit had already been thwarted by Tsing Hui. In his heart, the outcome of this battle was extremely important. Carrying the burden of his spirit, he could not unleash his full strength at all. The completely different state of mind caused the originally evenly matched opponents to reveal the outcome of the battle in just a short moment. After a battle that lasted close to 2 hours, Lu Jihua's advantage continued to accumulate and expand. At the crucial moment, he managed to secure victory with one strike. With one victory, Lu Jihua's record of 9 victories secured him the number 1 spot in the Grand Assembly. Behind him was Tsing Hui, who had only lost to Lu Jihua for a short while. With 8 wins and 1 loss, he was in second place. Dao Wuya had lost to Tsing Hui and Lu Jihua consecutively. With 7 wins and 2 losses, he was in third place. Nan Tian-do, who originally had the chance to compete for the number 1 spot in the Grand Assembly, did not even make it into the top 3 this time. Even though the 4th spot was definitely his, other than sounding good, there was no real benefit to it. The time to study the Fortune Jade and the 11th item was only 5 days. The remaining 5th, 6th, and the rest of the rankings still needed a few days to be ranked. For example, those with 5 wins and 4 losses would have to fight against those with 5 wins and 4 losses to determine the ranking. However, the number of people paying attention to these rankings was obviously not as high as before. It could be said that after the battle between Lu Jihua and Dao Wuya, the Grand Assembly of Fortune had come to an end. Just like that, after a few more days, the top 10 of the Grand Assembly of Fortune had finally been decided. The ranking round of the Grand Assembly of Fortune had come to an end. Next, it was time to activate the Fortune Jade and allow the top 10 Heaven's favorites to study it. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.